Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the quarterfinals of the 2017 Travelers Curling Club Championships, coming to you this afternoon from the Cataraqui Golf and Country Club in Kingston, Ontario. I'm Diane Wiley, and with me this afternoon is Scott Buckley. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Diane. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Good. Well, I think everybody's all set for an excellent quarterfinal playoff this afternoon. We're going to have women's action on the sheets as well as the men's side. Just should be a great afternoon of curling.
I agree, and in addition to our feature game, which today will be Team Ontario versus Team Prince Edward Island, we will also be keeping an update and a note on the other sheets that are progressing and keeping all our watchers informed of what's happening throughout each of the other games as well.
Absolutely. I think we're both going to be pretty busy up here, keeping eyes on 4 games, and we welcome all the viewers at home here in Canada, and I suppose since we're on the World Wide Web, possibly all over the world. Possibly
as well, that's correct. So on our sheet today, Team Ontario has a 5-1 record coming into this game, so they will be throwing blue rocks, and we'll have last rock advantage in the first end. And Team Prince Edward Island, they had a 3-3 record, I believe, and so they are playing yellow rocks today.
Excellent, and we're just about to get started.
Just top 4.
So Heather McRae lead with Team Prince Edward Island, has delivering the first stone. And I think the call appears to be in the house, drawing into the house. And throughout the game, we'll be keeping an eye on the ice for our viewers as well, and maybe doing a bit of timing to help people see how heavy or fast the ice is.
Well, obviously, the ice was keener there than our lead expected, and the ice all week here, credit to Will Middleton and the ice crew, has been excellent. So we see the first lead stone here coming from Susie Chen, and spoke with Susie before the game, and she had a few thank yous to say to her husband Peter, as well as to her boys Theo and Elias, and all of her parents on both sides of the family, and all of her Toronto waterfront people.
Fine.
She works for the City of Toronto in a health and safety specialist role. So that one's in the house.
Yeah, this rock slipped a bit behind the tee line, so it appears that Julie Much, who's skipping Team Prince Edward Island, is electing to have Heather take this Team Ontario rock out of play.
Yep. Whoa,
and she could have always drawn to that rock, Scott, since it's behind the tee line, but maybe a little early in the game for those kinds of calls.
I suspect the first couple of ends we'll see some fairly straightforward conservative play, and later on we'll probably see a little bit more aggressive style, depending on the score.
I agree. I think that's probably been what we've seen, I think, for most of the games this week. Both teams wanting to, even though they had some practice time, just wanting to maybe get a few shots under their belt and sort of try and get their nerves under control a little bit.
Good line.
That's always a factor in some of these playoff games. This is a national championship that these players have worked very hard to qualify for, and they've played very hard all week.
You can be close.
So it looks like the call here was for a tight corner guard.
Really good.
So it looks like Jody's going to be prepared to start mixing it up a little earlier than some other teams that we've watched have been.
Yep. Great shot, Suze.
Really no risk in this shot for them at all. They might as well try and force the issue to some extent. I don't think the PEI skip here is going to have anything to do with that, though. She's taking that rock and trying to roll back into the house.
Yeah, she's asking her second, Terry Wood, to remove the blue corner guard from play, and as you said, hopefully get a bit of a roll into the house.
Just for our viewers at home, PEI all week has played, this looks like a nice hit and roll, where Julie Much, she'll call the game and throw third rocks, and we'll have Lindsay Moore throwing last rocks for PEI.
And there's a couple of other teams here I've noticed have done the same thing. So you do see it from time to time. It's an interesting approach, and not every team or every player on a team is comfortable in throwing the last stone without actually being the person that's been in the house throughout. So it has to be a lot of trust there between the person putting the broom down and the person having to make the last shot.
No, that's
fine. I think much like any relationships on or off the ice, but the trust in curling, I think, is super important with teammates backing each other up. Often you'll see the best teams in the world are very good at making that great shot after there's been a tough shot made by one of their teammates.
No.
So Terry once again has been asked to remove the Ontario stone from play. It's a nice nose hit there.
Just in case the viewers are curious back home, we're seeing much of the same type of straightforward play in the first end of the other games, and again, that's not a surprise. This is as close to a money game as you'll get in a competition that does not have a jackpot at the end.
That's correct.
There's no place to go if you don't win this game except the spectator section.
Yep.
The players have been treated while off the ice as well too. A lot of great events. The City of Kingston, one of our sponsors, and you know, a lot of our volunteers as well. We have team ambassadors that have been assigned to each of the teams and have really played a key role, I think, in helping the players enjoy their time here in Kingston.
As a matter of fact, in my conversation with Jody and Chris, Kelly, and Susie from Ontario, the rest of the team this morning, they wanted to make a special mention to their team ambassadors, local curling club members here, Gary and Ann Allen, who've done a fabulous job making this team feel like they had a second home while they're here in Kingston.
Yes, all our ambassadors have been doing a wonderful job in being the Kingston family, if you will, of all of the players. So Julie managed to remove that rock from play, and her rock also rolled out of play. So it looks like Chris Wannen's going to be asked now to draw the rock into the rings.
Nice and tight.
Now Chris, when I spoke with her earlier in the game, she definitely wanted to give a shout out to her dad, Ross. And she's a math teacher, high school math teacher at Bill Carruthers Secondary School. So I'm not sure if any of the kids are watching from the school today or not, but she wanted to say hello.
Just fighting. Good shot.
So often, as we spoke about earlier, you'll see conservative play in the first end for several reasons. I think we may even see some of it in the second end as well, because it helps to get the ice right up to speed. We've had a couple of practice sessions before the game started, but you know, the worst shot for a skip to have to throw is that second end draw, you know, where you might hit a keen spot. And I fell victim to that before, and it's not a lot of fun. So I think we may see something similar to this in the next end, but be patient, folks. We will see some great curling.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, too, that is a big game for a lot of these ladies. This is their first time at a national event. So, yeah, very important game for everybody, for sure. So it looks like Chris gets to throw another draw into the house.
Yeah.
Always easy for her, good for her, to be able to practice her draw weight.
Just fighting. A little more, Kelly.
So it hasn't been all work and no fun here for the teams in Kingston. They've got to take in some of the local sites. Last night I was doing a volunteer driving shift, and there was plenty of karaoke going on, and I must say that Team Ontario at the microphone and on the ladies' side impressed the crowd with their vocal talents. So maybe if this curling gig doesn't work out, they might have a future in the music industry, but it was a lot of fun. Everyone was having a good time.
Yes, and we also had a team event for all of the teams a couple of nights this week, and it gave them an opportunity to learn a bit about the historic aspects and unique aspects of the city of Kingston while enjoying themselves and spending time with their colleagues and new friends as well.
Hard to
So here we see Lindsay
chat.
making a nice takeout there. Rolled a little bit towards the outside. And then Jody McCutcheon will be trying to remove the PEI rock from play. So there's an interesting element here in that when PEI threw at this rock, they threw inside out, if you will, and Jody's electing to throw her out turn. It's just an interesting, some players, some teams prefer sort of inside out shots versus outside in. Really nothing wrong with it. It's a matter of what you're comfortable with, both as a thrower and as a caller, if you will.
I think that's fair. Diane, I know everyone has a preference who is a thrower of a curling stone.
Close. Yep.
My thought on that has been even if I'd prefer as a skip to throw it one way or the other, I have to consider who's at the other end throwing the stone at me.
This is really curling.
It is, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Okay, good.
Yeah, got it out. Now, of course, that gives, I suppose...
gives Lindsay the opportunity of placing the rock. And I think the call here is on center line, and it makes sense. I think obviously it'll be Jody's objective at this point to blank this end. So the closer that this rock is placed to the center line, the more difficult a blank becomes for the opposing team.
I guess, yeah, there's two ways to look at that, though. I mean, some people prefer to throw one out to the side and maybe get an unfortunate nose or a wide open flash as well. But, you know, these curlers are pretty talented, so I don't think anybody's too concerned. Now, of course, if this goes through, that's not going to put too much pressure on. But there it is. It's going to stop at the back, so we will have a hit for a blank attempt here to finish off this first end. And on the other sheets, much of the same is taking place. We'll update everyone when those ends are complete.
I see on sheet 5 that there are a few rocks in play. There's a few corner guards up there, so it's like Team Alberta is trying to draw in behind a series of corner guards that exist at the moment. Team Nova Scotia rocks.
Now, Jody had a nice surprise before the game. Unexpectedly, her kids and husband showed up here in Kingston. Her daughter, Hannah, from Western University in first year is here, along with her brother, John, and Sadie, her sister. And Mike probably earned a ton of brownie points today by coming and bringing the kids to Kingston. So she was quite emotional. She hasn't seen them for most of the week at all. And I'm sure she's happy to have the moral support.
So here she's trying to make sure that she has the blank.
Roll out.
Make sure that she rolls out.
Oh, my.
Oh, unfortunate. Nice try for sweeping, but Ontario ends up taking 1 in the first end. So our score after 1 end is Ontario 1, Prince Edward Island nothing.
And next door on sheet 3, just to keep everybody up to date, we have another blank end between Ontario and Newfoundland on the men's side. So no score for Ontario and Newfoundland playing the second end, and Ontario continues to hold hammer in the second end of that men's quarterfinal.
Tight. No.
So a guard has been called here by Team Ontario. So Susie's been asked to play a tight guard. So it looks like they're already being ready to start to mix it up in the second end, which is nice. You know, the role of the lead has become so much more important since we got into the free guard zone approach to curling. And throughout the week, it's the role of the lead, as you see, rocks that can obviously turn an end around in terms of strategy very early on by a rock slipping into the rings if the guard was called, or vice versa.
Sorry about that one.
Oh, it's absolutely right, Diane. I mean, it's critical that when you're calling the strategy for the end, now we're going to see the come around here from PEI and their lead, Heather. If the lead is able to put those stones where the skip wants, then you have the choice of either forcing the issue or playing conservatively.
Okay, go then.
And that's a great guard by Susie. And now we're seeing the come around attempt here, but it looks to me like it maybe racking, but they might get a bye.
They might get a bye. And if she chips it a bit and rolls in.
Right in. Okay, that's fine.
Now they're both in.
Now they're both in. Now they're both in. So then Jody's now going to be playing the takeout on the Team PEI stone because it is in the ring. So Susie's been asked to throw a takeout. Notice throughout the week that if there's a lot of ice, a lot of weight thrown on takeouts, the ice is running very straight in certain spots.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment for sure. The club went through a major fundraising effort and purchased some new stones just a few years ago, and these are inserted stones out of London, much like that are used at some of the big events. The stones are great. Will and his team have done a great job on the ice, but it is a bit weight sensitive, so if you bump up the weight, you would expect to not see very much curl at all.
For sure. So Terry has been asked to remove the corner, if you will, stone and roll into the rings. This rock is curling a bit, so while she'll remove the Ontario rock from play, she has left it there as a corner guard should Ontario Jody wish to use that.
So the call here is to remove this stone and maybe make a bit of a roll back towards center.
No.
Of course, another option here, I suppose, would have been to just come right around it.
I agree.
Sit two in the house.
I agree.
You know?
I agree. I agree. A bit defensive.
Okay, you know what? No. I don't want a corner. Chris.
And she doesn't want a corner,
Roll it out,
so
Suze.
I don't know if she's going to get it out, but
Okay.
well, we'll see how this
That's
plays
okay.
out. But at the moment, advantage for Ontario, sitting one in the house.
Sitting
but I
one in the
suspect not
house.
for long.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So Terry's being asked to remove this this Ontario rock from play. Bit of a roll in.
So Terry, her occupation back home is with the education department at the government of Prince Edward Island. She also lives on a potato farm. So she wants to say hello to her husband back home who's taking care of things at the farm.
We were went down to Prince Edward Island for golf vacation in September.
Whoa.
Trying not to be jealous over here on this side.
Whoa.
Good for you. That must have been nice.
That's
It
my
was
fault.
wonderful. Beautiful area. People were amazingly friendly. Had the best seafood chowder and
Yeah.
lobster rolls.
Well, speaking of that, we actually had some shipped up here, and the PEI teams and their sponsor shipped some cooked and chilled lobsters here to the club, and they were auctioned off for as much as $100 a pair, I understand, to raise money for the charity of the Canadian Curling Association to help with curling development for youth. So that was an absolutely brilliant idea, I think, on behalf of both of the PEI teams.
Yeah, it was a great idea for sure. Unfortunately, I wasn't here, so I didn't get a chance to bid on any because I was fully prepared, but I wasn't around.
There was only one slight negative to the whole process, and that's one of the competitors has a severe shellfish allergy, so it was one of my driving shifts, and I had to make a very rapid trip to the closest drugstore and grab some Benadryl just in case the initial thought of an allergic reaction was going to take full effect. Everything worked out fine. Benadryl wasn't required, and I didn't get a speeding ticket, so everything was good.
So everything was good.
Whoa.
So here again, Terry's been asked to throw takeout on the Ontario stone that's sitting on the center line.
Yep.
Maybe a bit of a roll in behind.
I think they'd love a nice little bit of a roll here, but I don't know if it's going to roll much.
Okay, good throw.
Of course, the danger of rolling and not rolling perfect is maybe Ontario now tries that move.
Exactly, and then the force is on
Yep.
from Ontario's perspective, because in this end, they would be pleased to be able to force Prince Edward Island into scoring just one.
So another update, folks, between Nova Scotia and Alberta men's. Also a blank end in the first end of that game. Alberta men continue to hold hammer. And we had a blank in the game between the BC ladies along with Nova Scotia, with BC maintaining hammer. But by the looks of the second end in these games, I don't think we're going to be reporting on another blank this end.
Here it comes.
No, when we look across the other sheets, there are lots of rocks in play already.
It's okay. It's good.
So Chris removed Prince Edward Island stone, rolled again back to center.
Yeah, you know, that weight rate there that we just saw, that beautiful control, firm board kind of weight. I mean, I think that's been the secret this week for the teams to be able to manage the rolls and control the shots.
Yeah, I think
and you
so.
see that a lot when you're watching good curlers on good ice, as you see that board weight, board plus.
Here's curl
Yeah,
up a
it's
bit.
amazing how you don't. A lot of people think that you have to throw pretty solid weight to sometimes make some takeouts, and the reality is you don't actually, especially with new rocks such as we have here, because they are, as what people would refer to as quite lively.
Has to curl.
So you don't have to hit a lot of a rock to make it be removed completely from play.
Here's maybe a roll attempt here from Julie Much, throwing those third stones, but only rolled about a foot or so. You don't want to overcommit to making that roll and then end up rolling out or missing altogether. So
exactly.
Early on, a little reluctant until everybody gets the ice figured out to make sure A plan is to make sure the rock's removed.
And for Chris, fairly similar shot to the last one that she just threw, which is always nice as a thrower of the rock to have the opportunity to throw quite a similar shot.
It's good.
See if she can get a roll back towards center again.
On its own, it's good. Great shot.
Very nice.
You know, it may not look that exciting at home, but I mean, those little rolls of the foot back to center for Ontario.
Okay.
You know, that's a precision shot, really. You know, they don't want anything to do with making it easy for PEI to roll one underneath here.
That's correct. So we'll see how Julie does on this one.
No.
She's been asked to, starting to come now for them.
Yes.
So she's going to get a bit of a roll.
Yeah.
I don't think it maybe enough to get it right in behind. We'll see.
Again, just getting used to that line call, you know. Getting there just a little bit earlier maybe and predicting that swing on the second half. But, you know, you got to be careful, like we said. No sense rolling out.
Slowly on its own.
Yeah, and again, it looks like Jody's again electing to obviously hit this rock and then roll back towards the center.
Yeah, I think the rock now, Diane, to be fair, is too high. If you make the roll, you might be looking at them coming right around behind you anyway. So probably the smart move here just to regroup, finish off this end, and try to push the issue a little bit more in number 3.
That's for sure. So the ladies from Prince Edward Island really wanted to say a big thank you to the members of the Crapo Curling Club back in Prince Edward Island and to all their family and friends for their support and encouragement both throughout the week and getting to this event. So Jody's rock is coming down the ice and she'll be hitting this rock. A little bit of a roll back onto the top 12 foot. And so now Lindsay will be removing this rock.
Okay.
And you're right. I think if she were to try and roll at this point, she may not even be in the rings very much if she were to roll in behind.
No.
Interesting that they're taking the other turn here.
You know, Diane, they may be actually thinking, well, you know what? We've seen ice down the middle. Why don't we make the Ontario skipper throw one on the other side? Let's roll somewhere she doesn't know the ice.
Yes.
And, you know, see what happens. Now, this is curling, so it's definitely not rolling to the open side.
No, it's not.
Be lucky to keep this one around, I think.
I think it might unfortunately roll the wrong way for them.
Roll it.
Well, look at this, though. Ooh. Spin in. No. I think. They're having a look.
it did kind of spin in. I'm not quite sure.
Even if it is in.
Oh.
Interesting. Oh, so they're not sure by the looks of it, Scott, from what we're saying.
Yeah.
You try the run.
I think they're not sure. So you know what?
I think it's out. I think it's out too.
Boy, that's a tough.
It's a tough, and you know, I think it really depends on the thickness of the outer edge of the rings.
Yeah.
And I know it was mentioned at the team meeting at the beginning of the week by the head official that teams, if they're not sure, it was one of their options even during practice if they wish to get the stick and run it around the edges just so they would be comfortable on whether or not rocks such as this could be in or out of the house.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think I actually heard that from the chair, Ken Thompson, who we talked about this in another game where we were spectating, and I think the teams were all given instruction if they felt it might be in. Before moving it away after conclusion of the end, they might want to throw the stick on it just to double check. I mean, these templates and rings were provided to the club early in the year to set. They're very accurate, but, and again, it doesn't take much.
So I think they must have come to the consensus that it's not biting because she is
Line's good.
she seems to be drawing in behind it at this point in time.
Wait,
so again, even on the last rock here by Jody, possibly looking if she can vary this perfectly, maybe look at a force.
Kelly in.
So now we're sweeping to try to get some more curl because it's right in front of me and I can see that we're easily open a couple feet.
No, okay, it's fine.
So
Yep.
decent weight.
Lynn,
I mean, you know,
wanna
that's
come
the
look
first
at it,
shot we've
Lindsay?
seen curling to
wanna
the
come
wing
look
that
at
way.
And I think one interesting point about it as well is because of its proximity to the Yellowstone, if they
Depends
should,
how much the
if
rings are
PI
off.
should elect to hit the blue as they likely will, the blank becomes much more difficult because the shooter may very easily end up on the
It looks
yellow
like it's
one.
touching that line.
So again,
What do you want to do?
So you
Do you
can
wanna
hear
try
at home,
blank or
folks. I mean,
nose?
PEI is of the opinion that it may
Do
be
you
in.
think it's on?
If you think it's touching the edge, I think maybe you've got to go for the deuce here.
I
right?
agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If
Like,
you think
yeah.
that it's in.
Worst case scenario, you're wrong. You're tied.
Exactly.
Traded singles. But what if it's in?
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
You just lucked out on the stick. So
yes.
I suspect we're looking to see a hit and stick throw
another
here
normal?
by Lindsay. And
Okay.
Lindsay in PEI for her day job is with Child Protective Services.
And I can tell you from spending a bit of time with her this week, this lady has an amazing sense of humor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So lots of fun. This whole team.
Oh, yes.
Team event. Spent some time with the ladies
Nope.
after they were finished their scavenger
No.
hunt,
Yep.
and really enjoyed their company.
This looks
A lot
good.
of
They
fun.
better get on it a bit.
Yes.
It is curling. Yep.
Yep.
I think the
Hard.
sweeper's going to
So
be
it's
able
not
to
going to
hold
be
it.
a blank, folks. It's going to be either one or possibly two. I suspect we'll see the stick come out.
Oh, not quite. Wasn't able
I know,
to get it
you're like,
out.
do I want to see that?
We'll
so,
measure that.
they're going to
Yeah.
measure,
Yeah,
obviously.
sure.
Yeah, so we're going to have a
for
measure
sure.
here.
I know, it's like, maybe I should be sweeping that out.
So you can see one of the other aspects about curling for those who don't curl is I think it's the only game in the world that starts and finishes with a handshake. Sportsmanship is paramount in the game of curling. I mean, it's a competitive sport, but at the same time, you're never really out there hexing somebody or wishing they miss a shot. I mean, everyone's trying to do the best job that they can, and it's
That's right, and it's very much a very collegial game.
We'll see.
As you said, and it's always of course, always the benefit in losing is that the winning team will buy you a drink.
You know, maybe we need to give the credit over to the folks in Scotland. I've been there, spent a month there curling all over Scotland in 2010, and it is out, folks, so that would just be a single. So I think worth the risk, though. But yeah, the traditions of curling has always been social. Started on frozen locks or lakes over there, and whiskey to keep warm. And it's an amazing game.
It was out.
I'm glad that I picked up the game in my early 20s. Maybe I should have started when I was younger.
Well, and speaking of ages, Scott, I understand that today is your birthday, so happy birthday to you.
And how did you know that? Actually, that was not a lead-in, folks, at all. But yes, it is actually my birthday. So as one of my older clients tells me, it's better to continue to have birthdays than not. So
well, I'm older than you, and I would completely agree with that.
Thanks, Diane. Okay, so
Heather is now delivering her first stone.
I suspect we'll see a guard here.
Here's good.
I didn't see what the call was, but I suspect we'll see a tight guard.
And Heather's sister, Lisa, actually won this event in Ottawa at the Ottawa Hunt Club 2 years ago.
Just bring
That's
it in.
correct,
Just bring it in. Yep,
Heather's involved in pharmacy
yep.
with the PEI government, and as you mentioned, her sister Lisa is a past champion in the Travelers. So obviously she'd hope some of that family. Oh, sorry, I just noticed a shot here on sheet to our right. We'll have an update for you shortly, but didn't quite work out for the Newfoundland team or the Ontario team on that last shot. But we'll provide an update on those other sheets as soon as we can.
So in our game, notice that Julie had asked on Heather's first stone for them to bring it into the rings rather than leave it as a guard.
Okay, so
And my sense would be it's because it was over curling and it wasn't going to be a guard that Team PEI felt that they would be a good one for them. In fact, it would be advantage Team Ontario if it were to have been left as a corner to that side of the ice. So she elected to ask her to take to draw it in, and it is a tight biter. On the other instance, Team Ontario asked their lead to throw another corner, and it slid into the rings.
Now we see the big roll in behind here, so it may roll out the other side, but at the moment, 2 yellow stones in favor of PEI. So
interesting how that's a good. Then we have a good indication of how aggressive Jody's going to be.
Come this way.
Is the call. So I mean, she has options here. Obviously, there would potentially be a double there. She could hit the back one, roll in behind, but her elected call is the freeze on the back stone by Susie.
Yep. And
T, make sure, girls. Chris,
that might be,
hard.
some credit
Hard,
to
Chris.
Jody's faith that, you know what, as long as the front remains open, even at
She
worst case
light?
scenario, as long as I have to just draw the forefoot,
Okay, whoa.
not a problem.
Whoa, walk it off.
Might as well.
Kelly,
but
go,
this
go,
didn't work
go,
out
go,
very
go,
well,
go,
so
go, hard.
we may end up
Hard,
seeing
Cal,
a
hard.
Ontario guard on
Hard.
that PI stone.
Okay,
So
that's fine, Suze.
now we'll see. I would believe another come around maybe in front of the tee here for PI around the corner.
That would make sense. I agree.
Yeah.
Do you want to go here?
Yeah, this is an opportunity
Could go there.
for.
That's not a bad idea to go open though either,
Nope.
is it? Yeah.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
in terms of you want to force or
Like
steal,
here?
Yeah.
really, right? I mean, if she goes open,
They're probably going to try to draw here.
then they're they could be saying, well, we're trying to force you to one. But as
Hey,
as
let's go
Julie's
over
saying
here.
as well, if it's not made well, then it does allow Ontario to try either the same shot they just called or to draw the other way in behind those two. And of course, it's a bit more complicated on a run back because you have two rocks that are frozen at the top together.
Just T.
Yep. So we see this stone coming
Like
down
it
the
to
sheet
curl a
here from
bit.
Secondary Wood. Next door on
Easy.
sheet 3, there was a
Easy.
single point scored by Newfoundland.
Looks
That
all
would have been a
there.
steal
Sit.
of 1 for the Newfoundland men on
Okay.
sheet 4.
And then I see on sheet 5 where Team Alberta took one in the second end. So they're ahead 1-0 over Team Nova Scotia. And
We're
I'm
just,
feeling
we're just
like
waiting for the
this.
score to get posted here on sheet 2, the game between BC and Nova Scotia ladies.
Yeah.
My thought is that BC must have scored because this is the first stone of the end being delivered by Nova Scotia. So,
Yep.
oh, wait a second. No,
No.
yeah,
Yeah,
Nova
Nova
Scotia
Scotia
scored the
scored.
single. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry,
So
folks.
on our sheet, PEI at the moment is line 3, and Jody
Yes,
has
Susie.
elected to ask for
Hard,
the run back. Oh, so close.
Good try.
Almost the run back double.
Yeah.
So
No, I think if you're PEI right now, you're not too upset the way this is this
No.
end
Like
is
there?
starting to develop.
it is shaping up quite well for our Team PEI at the moment, that's for sure. I mean, she could throw a tight guard to this if she wished. She's called for it to be top 12 in the house. So comfortable to have the play in the house, it seems, from TPEI's perspective at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have a lot of
Hey.
wonderful sponsors of this event, but I think the Travelers the business, the Travelers Insurance has
Right
obviously
here.
been one of the, or is the primary
Right here.
sponsor and has been such a supporter of this event since its inception 9 years ago. And certainly the event, which is really to celebrate and
That's good, that's good, that's good.
recognize
Nice throw.
curlers at the club level, is very much a brainchild of Travelers, and George
have
Cook
to
was
hit
with
and roll.
Travelers at the time. And, just want to say a big thank you to Travelers for its sponsorship over the many years.
Yeah, these events don't
Yeah,
run themselves
horses!
from the standpoint of financial support from these great businesses, as well as the team of 150 volunteers from the Kingston area. Oh, this is over curling.
Oh, this is over curling.
Okay.
All right.
So it looks like Kelly just touched that stone and then rubbed out. So huge advantage here now
Right
for
there.
Team PEI.
We're
that's
going to
for
leave
sure.
them something, whatever we do. We could go here.
Yes, the whole.
I like that shot there.
She's drawing in behind. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
just a
partially
half
in
tuck it,
behind.
yeah.
Yes.
Same thing?
Yes.
Yeah,
They're
because
just gonna
that
try
tap
to hit
tap
and
on the
roll there,
blues
that's the
for
only
shot,
thing.
you want to kind of cut that off, I
Right.
think. Yep.
Yep.
I gave Terry
Yeah, and if she's
more,
as long
unless
as
we
she
go,
doesn't
like,
go
somewhere
too
right
deep
here.
and set up the freeze,
Yep.
there are lots of other freeze options in there anyway. So I
They can't
agree if
hit
she
and roll
can,
under.
if
You like
she just
that?
does, yes, make sure that it isn't exposed so she can hit and roll under.
I'll tell you,
Well, then
I'll
they'll
tell you if you
probably
don't go
try
there
and
right
freeze,
now,
I
I
would
think what
say,
you'll probably
but-
see from Team Ontario is they'll go right around their own.
Exactly.
You know, so I think you
Yeah,
want to
like
block
here?
that path off.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. First in sometimes isn't always a bad thing
Yeah.
to do.
No.
Yeah, we were very fortunate that the whole curling community in the city has gotten behind this. As you said, we had about
Are they
150
going, like, half under
volunteers
the blue,
from
or?
the curling community in Kingston, primarily from the Royal Kingston Curling Club and our club, of course, Cataraqui Golf and Country Club. And
Yeah, not
Cataraqui
quite.
is celebrating
Just
its
like
100th
Tappy would be
anniversary
good.
this year. So
Pretty
in
quick?
addition to
Okay.
this, hosting this national curling
give me less
event,
ice.
did earlier this year in the summer host the National Junior Boys Golf Championship, which was really a fun experience to volunteer at and to watch the expertise of some of those very young men that are very, very good golfers.
Yeah, actually, it was a great event. I was part of a team that helped out with that as well. And
Not heavy.
one of our
Not
competitors,
heavy.
in fact, the eventual winner, name escapes me, but I believe he's from New Brunswick, set a new amateur course record. I think at 61 was it?
Yeah,
It was a great round.
he set a new record for the course. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, this rock has slipped a little behind the tee line.
Yeah.
Which really helps Ontario get out of the end, if you will. Now, if they can freeze a rock in there or draw one down there themselves, it's going to become much more difficult for Team PEI to remove it.
Yeah. So I mean, either the straight draw here, which is the call that they've made, or simple little tap tap, and all of a sudden the advantage has swung back to Ontario on this one. They look like they might be able to pull a deuce out of this end after all.
Yep. So Chris has been asked, as you said, to draw in behind the blue guards. And, of course, it's nice that they're their guards as well, so the run back is not of the opposition stone, should that be something that would otherwise be considered.
Line, we got to walk it.
So it looks like it needs to curl a bit. The ladies seem to be sweeping it for weight.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to get it to curl a bit.
It's high.
Well, that stone surprises me a little bit. I didn't see the release very cleanly, of course, from behind here, but that had nice weight in it. Didn't really move a lot, did it? No.
Compared to the earlier stone that curled right by those rocks. And it's almost fully buried now.
Yeah, so I can give you that update, folks, now between Nova Scotia and
close,
BC on the ladies' side. Nova Scotia with a single in the second end, so they lead that game 1-0, but BC has hammer in end number 3.
Just board weight.
Very close games out there when you look across the sheets, Diane, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yes.
Just so they can't
Not surprising. I mean, each of these teams obviously did well in their respective pools. And so what we're seeing here in the quarterfinals are the teams that finished respectively second and third in each of their pools, and they've crossed over to play each other. So none of these teams have played each other yet this week. So this is their first time playing each other.
No. Yep.
So
now this rock's starting to curl, so they're going to have to get on this pretty hard.
Yes, so Lindsay's rock is curling.
This might jam. I don't know. Oh no,
wow.
They're all right.
Okay, got a bit of a break there on that.
Yeah, they sure did. Yeah.
So at the moment, Prince Edward Island looks to be lying 5.
Mm-hmm. You know, the good thing, though, is there's a path and there's backing for these free shots or whatever. So, I mean, Ontario doesn't even have to be perfect with this one. Anything in that right side of the forefoot, it's got jam written all over it if they try to remove it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's their huge advantage or benefit for them at the moment, is they're all behind the tee line. So there's lots there.
Mm-hmm. You know, I've curled for more of the years than I'd care to mention because it's my birthday today, but I've not yet figured a way to move a stone forward in the house very consistently.
We don't have it.
You know, the rocks in front of the tee line are the ones that you can work
just
with.
Let it walk in.
Anything
it's
deep
already
is
there. It's already there.
pretty much throwing it back to the other team.
And unfortunately, this rock looks to be a bit heavy. So
that's 2 of hers now that we haven't seen much curl on, isn't it?
That's exactly right.
Now, it was a bit heavy, so that might be part of
We're like
the reason.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So.
I know on our teams we have
here?
players that throw differently to each other, to say the least.
They're just going to try to freeze again in the pocket, so we may as well just
you know, you have to broom to the player and the way they release the stone and the way they throw a rock, but there shouldn't be any issues with the rocks. As I said earlier in the program, they're fairly new. And I think they came with a 20-year guarantee as well, didn't they? From
yes, but not of actually getting the result that you want when you throw it. That's not the guarantee.
No. I'm still looking for those stones, and I'll probably buy them so that they're guaranteed to make the shot that's in my head when I let them go. I'd pay a pretty good dollar for those, actually.
Yeah, I'm with you. So again, as we said, the call here for Lindsay is to draw in
Oh,
behind. Now she's got quite a bit more ice than what Chris had before, Chris Wannon. So, but again, as you were saying, people throw differently, and big factor is the release, the amount of rotation people put on the rocks, and the weight, of course. Now this looks to be a little lighter than what Chris's was, and so curling a bit more.
She's not going to be very happy with that one because Ontario is probably going to take full advantage, I think, to get around that or do the tap.
Open, right? I could just straight draw.
Yeah.
I would lean towards a straight draw here if it was me. But
I agree. She can always leave that for her last shot if she needs to, right?
I have to hit
but I mean, I don't think that the idea from Lindsay was to leave that rock as a guard.
Yeah.
I mean, Ontario could even just draw around that rock. She just threw. Biting button. You know.
Well, what Jody and Chris are looking at here for Ontario is, you know, maybe a straight draw or a tap. But my fear here would be if you're Ontario is that even if you make this tap or draw around on the outside, well, what if PEI puts one right on top of the button behind that yellow?
Behind their yellow.
Then you're going to be wondering, maybe I should have got there first.
Yes. Yes. So unless she's elected to draw, that Jody's elected to draw down to those stones at the back, or just draw with the premise that she does have backing. The other option is because we did see a rock when Susie threw down here, it curled quite a bit. So the other option, if it does start to curl, and depending on her weight, she could play the bump.
Yep.
Because she really doesn't have to move her rock very far to eliminate several of the Team PEI stones. It's always nice we have options in that you can make in a shot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I'd be a little concerned with the stone for PEI that's in the 8 foot. Depending where Ontario hits these yellow stones, they may not even be shot.
Yeah,
Diane,
well,
I don't know.
Well, I don't see.
Now it's coming. It's really coming hard now. So I
Needs
think.
to curl a little more. I don't think she's going to be shot. I think you're right.
Oh well.
Nice shot.
So,
I think it's close, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's a gutsy call, really. I mean, like, you know, what if you're not shot right now?
yeah.
I'm not sure. Do you want to look?
Oh,
Once
boy.
more, they're not sure.
Boy, the measuring stick might get a workout here in this game today, folks. We've already had one measure already, but that was for a biter. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we don't have the
Well, it
benefit
kinda
of the
depends if we're
overhead
shot or
view
not.
that they do. So for us, it's a little more difficult to see which one. I mean, the benefit of that show for
I
Team
think we're
Ontario is they
shot.
have
What do you think?
backing. But I mean, she could elect. So on this shot, Lindsay could elect to follow that shot down that Jody just threw, and then tap it a little bit, and would be
it's
lying
pretty,
too.
Like we could
and then
pick this thin across there, but it's just we could easily dead jam it too. We'd have to pick it that way.
Yeah, so it's a gut call, a decision
if
here. I
we can
mean,
just
you know,
draw
how
here.
aggressive do you want to be? I mean, that draw to the top of the 4 and button. Why not have a go at that? Maybe.
yes,
You know.
and I think that's what you know, Lindsay and Julie have elected here is for to Lindsay to throw the draw. She just did throw a draw. She was a bit light, but even that is helpful information for somebody throwing a rock, throwing a draw. You know, you know how hard you threw it and where it is. You know, you need to add another 4 to 6 feet, and you've got a perfect shot.
Yeah, and this is also a comfortable shot for the front end, say, because they know what the split was on the first one, and they're timing right now, and they'll have an indication early as to how close they are.
They're sweeping early.
My concern only with this one would be line. I think looks like
Getting
it by.
Yes.
Hard!
If they can get it by, it looks like great weight.
You're by,
Whoa. There we go. Now, is
Six.
it
Is
going
it
to
gonna
stop?
Yes, I think it is.
great
Very
throw.
nice.
Well,
Yes, lovely draw.
That was perfect weight.
The
Lovely
Ontario-
shot,
to get
Lindsay.
it by.
yeah, the Ontario team was probably playing very close attention to that,
Just
so
if it stopped 2 feet
I'm sure
earlier.
their call and attempt here will be to
Gotta just draw to it.
follow that down.
Yeah, so it looks like Jody has decided to
any
draw
of
it.
it.
I mean, I think we heard Lindsay say if it had only stopped 2 feet shorter, and the reference there, of course, was
you
to
could
her
give
rock
me a
stopping
little
in
extra
front
'cause
of the
she was
button
close.
rather than just behind the button. Makes the shot a bit easier for Jody because she has something to draw to rather than a cold draw, if you will, to the button.
Now, we don't have the benefit of instant replay, but our camera guys are great. This appears to be about 6 more inches of ice than PEI took, didn't it?
I would agree.
So, I mean, not that that's a bad thing because it's just a draw call. Not trying to come right up to the Yellowstone, but definitely need to be shot.
Yes. And I mean, they did, TPI did come very close to their own guard, and so she really, at this point, doesn't want to risk the rub on the guard,
No.
especially when this could, which they're not completely sure whether Team PEI is lying 1 or 2 at the moment. So this could be a draw against 2.
The indication is not a weight concern from the front end, so it's all about the line here.
You got nothing.
Now the brooms are coming
Yeah,
down,
if you
so
gotta go, then go, but easy.
Looks like they're sweeping. Yes, it looks like it's starting to curl now.
boy, it started to slow down really quickly there, didn't it?
It did.
I think they're going to be able to push the brooms and get it there.
Hard.
Oh, we don't know.
Oh my.
Oh, unfortunate.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunate.
That surprised even me watching it
yellow.
down there. Actually, between the hog line and the house, it seemed to
really
take a little pace off
yes.
it. Initially, I think they both thought the
throws.
weight was there anyway, and they didn't get on it till second half a little.
Yeah, otherwise the weight was perfect, right?
Yeah.
So that was a steal of 1 for Prince Edward Island. So after 3 ends of play, the score is Prince Edward Island 2 and Ontario 1.
Now we had an update next door. The Ontario men's team with the hammer scored a deuce in the third end. So that game's now 2-1. Ontario men over Newfoundland. Newfoundland has the hammer in the fourth end.
And on ice 5, it appears that the score now, Team Nova Scotia, I believe, took 1. So the score is now tied 1-1 between Nova Scotia and Alberta.
That's correct.
So I think as we had expected, fairly low-scoring games out here. There's a few rocks in play on ice 2 between Nova Scotia and British Columbia. So Team Ontario finished at a 5-1 record, but finished second in their pool by virtue of their loss to Team Manitoba, who finished with an identical 5-1 record. Since Manitoba beat Team Ontario, they finished first and got the bye to the semifinals, which are this evening at 6:30.
Good, Stephen.
And then our play wraps up tomorrow. Our finals are at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Good throw.
I had the pleasure last evening of driving home the Alberta ladies team, and finishing first does have its advantages because they were going home last night and had some plans for the day, but no need to curl until this evening. So, and we see that in the playoff format, both here and at the Scotties, the Brier. I mean, there is an advantage to finishing first, and rightly there should be. I mean, years ago that used to be the Brier winner, right, and or probably the Scotties winner.
That's
as well.
correct.
So.
That's correct.
You got it, guys.
So Susie's been asked here to draw in behind the guard that was placed by Heather.
Go. Hard.
So, I mean, she could have also elected to throw up another
Okay,
corner
Sus,
if
good
she'd
try.
wished herself, and then had the 2 corners to work with. But she elected to
I
try and
pulled
draw a little
back just a tiny bit,
tight,
too much.
tight guard by Susie.
And just next door on sheet 2, folks, at home, we had a draw to the button area for 1 by BC. So that game is also tied at 1-1. So we've got 2 2-1 games and 2 1-1 games. So I expect we're going to go right down to the wire here on a few sheets.
So Heather is being asked to draw around these 2 guards in front of the house. This is curling quite a bit.
Yeah, it's got the weight. It's just the line's going to rack here. So
Well, yep.
now
She's going to be able to spin it in.
take it splittable
Okay.
or take it at least in as close as they can.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how aggressive you want to be here for Ontario? I mean, it might seem a little aggressive to throw another guard here, but I mean, with them having the hammer, of course, if they tap this in, maybe make a nice split to lie 2.
Exactly.
You know, this is curling early though.
Oh,
this
yes.
right out of her hand is gone. I think we're on the yellow.
She's on the yellow. And she can't remove the yellow from play, of course, under the free guard
they
zone
should
rule.
sweep to keep it. No, it's going to just tap it in, isn't it?
Yep. Well, she may not remove it completely from play, though.
Okay.
And that's the interesting point,
Yeah.
is that
true.
space in behind the rings is considered in play. So the free guard zone theoretically
Happy?
does extend into that area. The rock can go through the house as long as it doesn't touch the back line. It's considered still in play. So that was a good call by Jody to realize that and to sweep that rock so it's not biting at the back, but it's still in play. And so they didn't have to remove their rock, and they were able
Lots
to
of
leave that
line.
rock where it is.
Well,
So now
then.
Terry's been asked to draw around these 2 blue guards.
Everybody thinks this one's a bit heavy, so as a thrower, when you see the front end walking beside the broom, anxiously hoping it slows down, yeah, this is a bit deep. So
I had the privilege of covering the Team Ontario ladies playing an earlier game, and for last rock to win the game, Jody had to draw just into anywhere beyond the 12 foot. And I was chatting with her later about it, and it was a nervous time because the sweepers weren't doing anything. And, you know, when you're throwing, and it ended up being T-line. It was perfect weight. But it's a little nerve-wracking as a skip when you're throwing a draw and your sweepers aren't engaged in it.
If it's up, you gotta go. Hard.
So this looks like an opportunity, a call for either a promotion, a tap, or a split.
Well, Dan, I agree completely. Your comments earlier. It is a nervous time as a thrower, whether you're skip, ice, or whatever. I mean, the ideal scenario is you see your guys or ladies, as it were, cleaning on off. You know, it makes you feel better that we're all on the same page and we think that the weight's close.
The weight's close.
Yeah. On the other hand, when they're putting their brooms down as soon as you let it go, that's not a great feeling either. You know, either you were tight to the broom or you've really underthrown the rock. So.
And when they're sweeping before you let go, then you know you're in big trouble.
How much?
I haven't seen my guys do that, but that I have tried to do to other people before, I'm sure. Yes.
Okay, line's
so
good.
this is a call to draw
line's
around
good.
the
It looks,
Ontario guard.
It looks good if it can just slow down a bit, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, the line's very nice. It's probably going to be definitely back 4, back 8. So for Ontario now, for Jody, it's an opportunity to, she could draw to that rock, maybe tap it a bit, roll a bit behind one of her corners. So she's elected to play the takeout. So Kelly's been asked to remove this rock from play.
Close.
See how this rock is running fairly straight at the moment.
Yeah, this really needs to get off that blue guard here.
Can we at least get a piece of it? Hard, Suze. Oh, I should have kissed
it did miss the guard, but popped it open at least.
I think same thing, like top 4.
And I think what Jody was referring to by kissing that, I think she was expressing that maybe if they had just rubbed the tight, very slightly the corner of that rock that's right behind in front of the broom as we see it now, that she could have redirected the rock a bit.
Yeah, and possibly put that blue stone into play, which obviously with hammer, you know, Ontario wants not to score one, but to score more than one. And right now at the moment, PI doesn't mind what they're seeing after their score last end, so they're quite content to come around again. Again, the lead stones, you know, if they're in the place that you want them, or you know, advantage to the team without hammer when there's rocks around the middle guarding.
This seems to be hanging a bit, although it should start to curl about now, I think.
Yeah, it's going already.
Close
so
line.
Looks like it's got a bit of weight on it.
Just
Good stop back house. Oh, they're sweeping it. Yep, it's very nice. Good weight.
Yep. Great shot from Julie there for sure.
So now Ontario, again, she can see a bit of that. Perhaps the run back is an option. I think that's the call, is they're running the blue rock back onto the yellow stone. If this is executed well, then Ontario will have the rock there and governed by one of their own. So
Down normal or normal, Chris?
Yeah, I think for a couple reasons it's a great call, because you know, that blue stone there isn't really doing a lot for Ontario. It's being more a bit of a thorn in their side. So even, you know, they make this, if they don't make it perfect, maybe at least that rock's off the middle.
I agree. I think this rock needs to curl a bit to.
Kelly, you got to take the roll. Take the roll hard. Hard.
So, you know, at least the front's a little more open now, but I suspect that PI will, put the guard back.
Yep, so lots of rocks in play this end on our sheet.
Yeah, and elsewhere as well. I've been trying to peek around the back of the monitor here. There's been some great shots this end in the Nova Scotia-Alberta men's game, and saw a double a little while ago. We'll give everybody updates.
So Team Ontario, the skip, because he's drawing. There's a on the men's game. There's a BC rock.
Back 4.
Back 4. So look, because he's drawing down to it because they. Newfoundland rock, because Ontario doesn't have hammer here. So the guard attempt is coming down the ice by Julie. Looks like it could be a nice shot here. It's coming to a stop nicely and very nice line. Very nice.
Good judge.
Pretty much ideal in terms of line. Maybe over curled a hair, but I'm always nervous as a former front-end player. If we could dust a rock, we would try to have a broom on it because I've seen too many nightmares of a pick on a guard or a draw.
So Jody is now asking Chris to open this up and to remove the guard that was just thrown by Team PEI.
Yeah, you know, I think she may try to hit this a hair on the high side, maybe roll the shooter away from center and maybe double those 2 yellows. It's
well, it looks like they're going to try the run back here, I think.
I'd roll that shooter a bit too, but they just, about the best you could do, isn't it really, I think?
That's all right. That's good.
So she removed 2 rocks, and so at this time PEI continues to lie 1, but it is in the back 12 foot. So it's opened up the scoring area for the moment for Jody and Team Ontario. So that was a good shot. Unfortunately, her rock did remain, and so for Lindsay, now is a chance for her to draw in behind that guard to replace the yellow stone that was just removed.
As you see, Julie Much holding the broom here. She does have ties to Kingston. As a youngster, as written in the local media, she actually took a position at a Bellevue House, National Historic Site, where she worked a summer some 12 years ago. So she's no stranger to Kingston, and expressed how happy she was with the hospitality and the great volunteer crew. So this rock's coming down pretty nice, but
gotta go line.
they're concerned about getting it past that top blue.
If they can, it looks to be a nice stone.
Hard!
Is it by? Is it by? No.
This
No.
Good try.
tough luck there.
Maybe a little light. So now Ontario, this is really a turnaround for them,
Well,
because
we can.
if Jody can draw in
through here may not
behind
move as
that
much.
guard,
But through
puts quite a
there,
bit of
it'll leave
pressure
her
on,
easier to
back on
follow,
Lindsay
right?
on her last rock.
Which she's been throwing, so.
You know, when you read the ice, I mean, you
I like
not only
this
have to
way.
read the ice, you have to read the release, you have to read the way the other players, throw their stones, their slide path. We just saw the outturn coming down here, but Jody's elected to go with the in-turn a little wider out the edge of the 8. I think good call. I think we'll see curl this way, and I suspect just a little bit more open for her there than
There's a
to try
bigger
to come
bit of a
through the
bigger
center.
hole.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and get a hog to hog on this shot, so we'll have a sense of what the ice is running. I know throughout the rest of the week it's been running sort of 14.5 or so hog to hog. So for those that would they do the split time approach, it's about a 370, 380. So it's not heavy, it's not keen, but it's not overly heavy either, just a comfortable draw weight.
Close, yep.
Whoa! It's heavy! It's heavy! It's heavy! Stop!
So Jody seems to think it's heavy.
Yep, yes!
You got to get it by, though, right?
Yes, they do.
No, they're saying there's room, so.
So it's about 14.3
Needs to stop.
seconds.
Yeah, it needs to
so
stop for them.
the shot rock.
They probably
Leaves a bit of an opportunity, though, for Lindsay if she
I
can
don't
draw
know if you
down
can
to
see
it.
enough of it, so.
Well, by the sounds of the time you got on your watch, I
Draw?
think the draw to tee has stayed pretty consistent. 14.5,
wanna
closer to
draw?
15. Sweepers can drag it there a bit.
Here?
We just had a burned
Well, we
burned
just came
stone
this
on
way.
sheet 3 next door. I was watching. The rock's been
Oh.
removed from play.
Okay.
Not fun if you're Team
Unfortunate
Ontario.
Unfortunate time when the other team is already lying 3.
Yeah.
So this
now,
is an open draw, I would say, for 4 for
Yeah.
Team Newfoundland.
Yeah. To be fair, the stone that
Can
was
you see
burned
this?
was open anyway. Probably would have been a
Can you
nose
see
hit for the
that?
4, but
Still.
people who've curled, the
Okay.
rule is the non-offending team
Oh, that's fine.
is never penalized when the other team has burned a moving stone. So
on our sheet, Lindsay is electing to draw. I think for a minute they were looking to see whether she could see enough of it to play the takeout, but she's electing to draw through the hole.
nearly the same line. I think she just put a little more weight on this because she realizes,
Go
she
then,
could go
yep.
right down to the blue.
Yep.
That's correct.
Again, it's curling, though. They've got to get it by that blue.
Her rocks
And
are
it's
curling
light.
a fair bit.
Yeah, it might be a hair light, but maybe they can.
Very close.
Yeah. You know, just a different release there, I think, between the two skips.
Between the
on
two
our
skips,
sheet. Yeah.
yes.
So we don't
One with a little more positive pop and rotation, and you know, not that one's
That's
wrong
where
or the
it
other,
was?
but
Did
I think
I come
Lindsay
to the
just throws
brown?
that little bit softer release, and that can be an advantage on straighter ice too when you need to get that extra curl.
It sure can. Sure can. So back to your earlier comment about the sort of the fact that this is such an honest sport, if you will. You know, in the game there, the burned rock. It's very much an honor system, and sometimes it's not even an obvious burn. But as players of the game, we all learn that you know, there's an obligation and almost a sense of rightness in having to say something, which is the right thing to do. Absolutely, even if it was immaterial to the end result in the shot. I mean,
Yeah, the permutations and combinations of angles and where it could have stopped and all of that. As I mentioned, in this case, it's one of those situations where the rock was going to be open anyway, but in some cases it's a lot tougher than that, where
Okay, don't worry about it. Sorry, guys.
now we see this came up light, so you know, one blue, keeping with the tone of our game so far, trading singles here.
That's correct.
You know, we're going to be tied up at 2-2. On our sheet between Ontario PEI women, and then next door, yeah, the big 5-ender for Newfoundland in the fourth end puts them at 6-2 over Ontario.
And the ladies are still finishing up their fourth end on sheet 2.
Oh, okay.
So I think.
And did you update already on the last sheet there, Julie?
Oh, so it's Alberta 2 and Nova Scotia 1 after 4 ends of play. So we're just waiting for the ladies on sheet 2. It looks like this is last rock.
There's one more rock there for Nova Scotia. This is last stone for BC Skip. And she's playing a hit on a Yellowstone in the 8-foot, I believe.
Yeah, well, maybe down the
And
center.
they're on this early because it does look like they need to hold the line, or it may just hit and roll out. But oh boy, and it jammed. So
So it looks like a draw for 2.
draw for 2 coming up for the Nova Scotia Skip.
All right, so thanks. We're going to take the fourth end break and going to turn it over to our sponsors.
When I grow up, I want to be a superhero. I want to be a firefighter. I want to graduate university. I don't know what I want to be. I want to be an archaeologist. I want to be a scientist. Pilot, coach, carpenter. I'm going to be a curling champion.
Kids dream big. Your support will help them realize their dreams on and off the ice.
Je me souviens combien j'étais heureux lorsque nous allions au club. J'avais toujours la sensation de participer à une occasion spéciale, à cause du jeu. C'était un endroit où l'âge et l'expérience ne comptaient pas. J'ai visité des clubs dans tous les coins de notre pays. Et je ressens toujours cette sensation d'appartenance au cœur d'une communauté. Parce qu'un club de curling, c'est réellement une communauté de millions de Canadiens d'un bout à l'autre du pays. Où des milliers d'enfants font leur apprentissage. Où des vétérans, des Olympiens, des para-olympiens et des jeunes gens combattent tous ensemble pour la gloire, une fin de semaine à la fois. Où le mot « local » signifie réellement juste au coin de notre rue. Et les effets positifs de ce sport sont non seulement économiques, mais aussi sociaux et culturels. Le curling a toujours tenu une place spéciale dans ma vie. Parce que c'est spécial.
Dans des milliers de clubs de curling à travers notre pays, le curling invite tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes à s'unir afin d'encourager la croissance et le développement des communautés. Fierté, communauté, croissance. Grandissons tous ensemble. Contribuez au développement de ce sport ainsi qu'à celui de la communauté qui vous tient à cœur. Faites un don aujourd'hui.
So we're back to our fifth end of play, and Susie Chen needs to deliver her first stone. Good game here, Scott. 2-2.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of one game out there right now, it's they're all within a point. So
I do see that on ice B, Team Nova Scotia scored 2 in the fourth and have at the moment a 3-2 lead. So a nice guard thrown by Susie, nice and tight.
Mm-hmm.
So Heather's been asked to draw in behind. So obviously game on, it seems so far in this end.
It does, yeah, and I'm sure our viewers back home are rooting for an interesting end. So for those who time backline to hog, that was a 380 split. So
okay, it looks like lots.
So what do you think are the advantages or the differences between the split, if you will, and the hog to hog? Why do people do some over another?
Yeah, I guess I think if in an ideal world, maybe you'd do both on your team. You know, the advantage, I think, backline to hog obviously is an early indication for the sweepers. You know, a lot of the sweepers in the game, though, at a certain point, I know when I played front end and having played many years of it, you get to a point where by looking at the person's delivery, you can have a pretty good idea just where that rock's going to go. Some people will add a little when they let go. Some people, you know, maybe pull back a hair.
Line's nice. It'll come.
Good teams know how each other throws, and they look at the watch as an indicator, but often the split times required for each person on the team are different. So.
Exactly.
It's okay.
It was unfortunate. Heather was a bit heavy on her draw in behind that Ontario guard. So Susie has been asked to draw in behind, and another tight guard. That's a good shot. When you don't have last rock, if you're trying, because in this end, Ontario would be happy to force Team Prince Edward Island to 1 to get the hammer back.
Yeah, it's at that stage. These are 8-end games where, you know, scoring in that second to last end is often an advantage.
Yep.
I'm not sure what the pure mathematicians would say, although I do know that the vice for Ontario, Chris, she's in mathematics, so she might know the stat on that, but it is important to try to score in that second to last end, and this looks like a great come around.
Like a lovely shot. Lovely shot by Heather.
Whoa. Great job.
Top 4. Ideal. Ideal.
Yeah, that's one you don't want to throw over again. That one's perfect, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So Jody is asking Kelly to draw down to that stone, to corner freeze it, if you will.
You know, the risk here when we're in the house skipping is the last thing we want our second or lead, whoever's throwing the shot, to do is be heavy. Mm-hmm. You know, chip off it, roll. I'd rather see them top 8 on this shot, to be honest. You can always promote that stone, as I mentioned earlier. I'm still struggling to figure out how to move them back up in the house, but that's heavy, unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
and, you know,
yes.
Obviously not what was intended, but...
No, so Kelly was a bit heavy on that shot. So now this provides Terry and Team Prince Edward Island with the opportunity to draw right down to that stone and put a huge amount of pressure on Team Ontario, especially with Team PI having last rock in this end.
Yeah, and I'd say the same thing. You don't want to be heavy and chipping and rolling off the side of this stone. You want to be
line right now.
a hair short if need be, or glued right on top would be ideal.
Lots of room.
This looks like it's pretty close.
Lots of room. Lots of room.
Yeah, at some
Looks
point,
heavy.
the option on this would be to take it, make sure it gets past your stone.
Okay.
Now you need some separation, and this may go right out the back. Boy, did that ever skate there.
Yes. So that's 2, actually, I think.
Wow.
All right. So it hung on at the back. So at the moment, Prince Edward Island is lying 2. So Jody's continuing to try the freeze, if you will.
Real chance for Kelly to adjust on this one, I think, here, and Kelly, I know I talked to her earlier, wanted to say hi to her husband Mike, children Winnie and Matt, to her mom and dad, and all the supporters and fans back at the High Park Curling Club.
Easy win.
Yes, I understand that they've had some support here as well throughout the week. She said, I was told that even the club manager has been down here watching.
Hard!
So lots of support for both of these teams from their colleagues and from the members of their respective curling clubs. So again, that rock over curled a bit. So Ontario has a biter, top 12, and has exposed the shot rock for Team Prince Edward Island. So not a bad miss, all in all.
Or just go here.
Yeah, that's unfortunate,
too.
but sometimes when your first one's heavy and wide, the second ones tend to be a little bit on the lighter and tighter side. So
that's for sure.
And that's just human nature. Everyone's trying their best out of the hack to make that shot. Very wise older skip than I, even on my birthday, told me one time, it's strictly focus on the line and just try to throw the right weight. And let the sweepers do a little bit
Let the
work.
sweepers help, yes.
Just here.
So Terry has been asked to throw a rock top 12.
Line's
line
pretty
looks
good.
nice. The line looks very nice on the shot. It's coming into the house. Might be it looks like it's going to stop about exactly where she was asked to put it.
Okay.
Lovely shot. So there does set up a double for Team Ontario.
A real chance here, slightly high side. We may see a lot of granite move, and Ontario could have a blue shooter stone up top, making the path into the forfeit area a little tougher for PI.
Yep, so Chris has delivered the stone. The ladies aren't sweeping yet. Calling the line now.
Now it's coming hard. Really hard, it's coming.
That ever. It's really curling.
Hard.
Now.
Catch it.
Oh, boy. That's unfortunate.
Yes.
Now we've got some staggered blue guards and a couple of yellow PI stones.
I don't mind this.
But for Team Ontario, because they have their guards out in front, while the end may not be shaping up all that well at the moment, there is always the option to draw in behind into the forefoot, because the Team PI stone is possibly biting top 4 at the most.
Yeah, okay.
So it may not be looking like it's shaping up the best for them.
Because I like sitting here.
As long as those guards are there, it is always going to be an option for Jody.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit of curling left to go this end, that's for sure. But,
so it looks like Julie's going to elect to remove that blue stone and roll away. Got to be always, and I don't think the jam back is actually possible on this because of the where it would have to get to on the angle on the top blue in order to do so. So I think fairly safe shot from that perspective. Not a lot of ice here, so Julie must be going to throw some weight because we saw the last rock curl a fair amount here.
Yeah.
Which made it a bit
no.
wide.
Control-ish kind of weight, I guess. Really needs to curl, though.
Yeah, I think she was a bit wide on this. This is not. She's going to pick it. Going to get to it. Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
That was.
I was sitting down here as she was getting ready to throw, and a little soft tap come around and lie 3 yellow there. As you mentioned, the angle on the blue wasn't really great for Ontario to try to raise it on an angle to hit any of the yellows that would have remained. But anyway, there's nothing wrong with that call. It just it didn't curl, and now Ontario's got a real chance here to get in there, make a roll maybe, and make life very difficult. Now this one's
Well, get the flop or the double.
a little disagreement.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't get either, I
Didn't
guess.
get either. That's right.
Yeah,
Didn't
as a skip,
curl
we're
enough.
used to that
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's right. Didn't
Yeah.
curl enough for the flop and curled a bit too much for the double.
Now just in between.
Was I outside
Yep.
last time?
Yep.
Okay.
But I mean, as you know,
So,
it's.
do you like board?
At some point, you have to make a
I
decision.
know, it just,
Which shot to go for. And,
I like board weight
and,
to get a little curl to go
it's
this
always,
way, so we
wrong
don't jam.
sometimes.
Yeah, it sounds like they weren't quite
I'm
on the
thinking,
same
like,
page there. I
here
think
with board.
Jody was all
Like
day
that?
like, I want that roll really badly, and whether you make the double or not, you make that roll. I think that's probably the more important of the two.
Right. Yes, I mean, the rock at the back, it is just back 12.
Try this again.
There's a blue one that is top 12
We'll
that can
try
be
this again,
promoted
just
later.
board weight.
So, yeah, I think the roll was important.
Terry's way. Just
So
to
you
avoid the
mentioned that
jam.
you another role you've had throughout this event is as a driver,
Board.
and we're very fortunate to have the support from some of our car dealers in the community. We have a fleet of 8 vehicles, and we've had very generous support from BMW Kingston and Taylor Chevrolet, as well
Can we go
as
another way?
Yeah, we had Kingston Dodge and Petrie Ford contribute
way?
vehicles
Oh,
to
yeah.
the event.
Hurrah!
Very nice for the players when they needed to go from the hotel to the curling club or vice versa. There was a nice, warm, brand new vehicle waiting for them. Safe, quality transportation. And for me, to the credit of these dealers, I may be paying a visit to one of them in particular after driving one of the models I got to drive a couple times this week because I was anxious to try out one of these SUVs. So
You're not the only one who's told me that, to be honest. So a nice hit and partial roll, so a good shot there. So now Jody electing to hit this rock, possibly try and get a bit of a roll over in behind that cornerstone. She would be shot over in there. I mean, if she only rolls a bit and rolls more into the open, the danger then, of course, is that Lindsay will have the shot to try and get the hit and roll.
yeah, this is not an easy shot for Jody here.
No, it's not. You can't see all of it. You can probably see about half of it.
Close. Yeah. Whoa.
Best she could hope for, I think,
Yeah.
is to
Whoa.
get rid of this yellow and attempt to maybe roll at least partially buried under her own blue.
I think that would be ideal.
No
but
roll,
I
no roll,
think
Sue.
it's
No.
not rolling that much. So
Nope.
now you'll see PEI do a hit and roll right under again, I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah.
We're shot at the back, but I still think we do this.
Yeah, I think
Do you
that,
like that?
they're
Okay.
looking
We'll
at
have to
this,
come this
and
way, probably.
Julie's right. They are still shot.
Actually,
but at the
no,
moment,
we can probably stay the same way.
Blue
Board?
controls the entire front of the house. Team Ontario does, and if they don't remove this rock from play and elect it to draw, then Team Ontario has got a few rocks that they can promote very nicely into the 4-foot button area. So I think this is the right call to remove this, and if they do get the roll to be line 2, that would put some pressure, obviously, back on Jody for her last shot.
Yeah, I'm sure Lindsay's doing everything in her mind to focus on making this shot, but the absolute nightmare here for PEI is any kind of a jam.
Yep.
Yes.
That would
Yes.
be avoided at all costs, and
And as we've
Hard,
seen,
Terry!
her rocks are
Hard,
curling
Terry! Hard
quite a
for
bit,
Heath!
quite a bit
oh
more.
boy.
Hard.
And I don't know whether she might have even maybe moved that rock forward enough that
They're looking at
Team
it.
Ontario is now shot.
Mm-hmm.
So for Team Ontario, they have a couple of options. They could draw through the hole. They could promote the rock on the left as we're looking at it. That's
What do
already
you
top
like?
12.
There's just a ton of options on those blue stones at the
this
front of the
anyway, I
house, and we say that all the time for folks at home maybe who aren't avid curlers. Those rocks in the front of the house or the top of the house
Maybe a little
are
more.
really
I
the
like it.
concern
Do you
stones.
think it's us? I do.
I
No.
agree. It's whoever controls the front of the house can be said to control the end.
Yeah. That's a narrow port down through there, but the opportunity right now for Ontario, I mean, if you could get through that port, you're sitting how many? 4?
Yep, if you could get to that back rock.
Yeah. It may be just too tight of a port with
Yes,
the curl we
yes,
get there.
yes, it
you
may
know.
be just. And I mean, what you wouldn't want to do by
Oh.
it's a high risk shot, because if she were to ever remove her stone, which is shot, then it would open up a wide open draw for Team PEI for 2. So at this point, given that they just got a bit of a break, if you will, through Lindsay's unfortunate miss, putting pressure on Lindsay by making her draw here against a couple. And again, really, it's all about a force, I think, in the eyes of Team Ontario. It's not really about stealing. It's really about forcing Team Prince Edward Island. So it looks like mission accomplished. What I do see there, though, is if these two rocks are
that shot,
hit
I think you can do that, can't
properly, there is now still an opportunity now for Team Prince Edward Island to get 2.
Yeah, that's right, and that a little bit more weight. PEI would be feeling a greater amount of discomfort right at this moment, I think, with an Ontario Bluestone buried.
Should push that one out.
So a bit of an update on sheet D.
You got it.
The game between Team Ontario and Team Newfoundland on the men's side. I see that after that burnt rock, Team Ontario rebounded nicely in the 5th end, scored 3. Absolutely. And so the score is now Newfoundland 6 and Team Ontario 5.
Yeah, and then next door to that, we have a tie game going on between Alberta and Nova Scotia, I believe it is, isn't it? Or Manitoba? Alberta.
I think it's Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia, that's correct, yeah. Yeah, it's tied at 2-2.
And they're still finishing up their 5th end also over on sheet
Has to curl. Has to curl. Okay.
So it looks like a steal of 1 for Team Ontario. So Team Ontario has the lead now 3-2.
Yep.
Just doesn't come back there.
And you can see why Lindsay, they were saying she was a bit out there, but we've seen her rocks over curling a bit pretty consistently. So perhaps in her mind, it was trying to sort of prevent that from happening, if you will. And as a result, maybe set it a bit on her release, and it just didn't curl as much as they wanted. So beginning N6, Jody is asking Susie to throw up a tight guard.
And here's the stone for Ontario lead. Susie Chen coming down the ice. Everyone seems to be quite happy with it. Again, building on the momentum of that steal. I think
so we don't lose too much of it here.
Call here is to keep putting the pressure on. Nice and tight, as Jody says.
Yeah, that was a big, a big point for Ontario from the perspective at the end. Wasn't shaping up well at all for them until we got to Skip's Rocks, really.
No, sure enough, it looked like a different end.
Up until very late in it itself. So
yeah, sheet B, we've got an update for our viewers at home. 2 points. Wait a second, they're just changing it now again. Better wait for 1 more second till we make sure they've got the score right before we announce it.
So Heather's been asked to draw around this blue center guard, but it looks like it's curling early, and
we're
in risk of promoting the blue rock into the house.
Yeah, so on sheet B, BC ladies versus Nova Scotia, single for BC, so the game there is tied 3-3.
Just tight.
Entering play now in the 6th end. 2 ties out there right now, isn't there? And yeah, we're waiting for an update in about halfway through the 6th end between Nova Scotia and Alberta men.
Close for line.
So there, as we thought would be, there'd be some very close games out here.
Hard, guys.
Some very well matched, evenly matched teams at this point of time in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, credit to the Ontario men. I mean, some teams after giving up a 5 are, not going to automatically respond with a nice 3 like that. So they must have played a very solid end there.
Very solid end, yes. It's interesting. They have, as part of this event for the players, they have a high-performance clinic. And earlier today, Adam Kingsbury, who is Rachel Holman's coach, sports psychologist coach, was here. And I had the pleasure of attending the session. Very informative and talked a lot about mental toughness on the ice and focus and that kind of thing.
We could just come here.
the Team Ontario men weren't there. I think
Let's go
probably
here
because
for
they had
now.
to play. But having seen the outcome of that end, obviously they have that ability to regroup and focus.
Oh, that's great, and that's another nice side benefit of being a volunteer here is you've just got a leg up on the rest of the ladies and men's teams here at Cataraqui by attending that great clinic.
Lots of line. Lots of line.
Anybody
Lots
coming
of
up
line.
against the Team Wiley here in the
There
next little while
goes.
better be a little bit on their toes.
That's
Yep.
right.
Use what you've learned to your advantage.
Hard.
No slamming of brooms is what I learned.
Yep.
So this rock...
Easier said than done sometimes, I think.
Nice throw.
Right. So nice draw there. So it looks like Team
I think you
PEI
can tap
is
that
shot.
just a touch.
You know, that's a thing during a
Just
8-end or
top 8.
10-end game of curling is, the skip and all the players really have to be mindful of changes that can happen with the ice. Curl can increase over the course of the game. Sometimes speed can increase and then decrease. Everyone has to be watching and monitoring, and oftentimes the team and players that are first to respond to those changes can really rack up an advantage.
And what we haven't seen here so far this week that can happen is the ice, if you will, breaking down in the slide path. So around the center line it gets heavier, and the first team to pick up on that for sure is a huge difference. So this rock, the call was to promote the blue stone. However, I think they just didn't curl as much as they wanted, and so they are lying 1, back 8, and under some cover. So what's been elected, Julie here?
Yeah, you know, I think this is a great call from Julie to take a look at what's going on in the house right now. You're not liking what you're seeing, and you know, let's maybe open it up a little here so we don't get ourselves buried into some trouble trying to force a bad hand, as they say, and give some room.
You want to open up as a skip with last rock.
Roll it off.
You want to make sure that you keep the front open for yourself as much as you can.
Yeah.
And the end was getting a little messy from their perspective and not in their favor.
Great peel from Terry Wood.
Was a nice shot. So the Team PEI would like to send also a shout out to their sponsors back home, Skyview Farms, Cavendish Tourist Smart, and Spring Valley Building Center. So thank you for all of your support. So here we have Kelly following down her shot.
And Kelly's manager of capital planning with the Ministry of Corrections and Community Safety here in Ontario. Her husband Mike, Winnie and Matt, and her mom and dad are also here with her.
Okay.
Many of the teams, I was quite impressed actually. My first National Travelers visit, and a lot of family actually made the trek, some from great distances.
Great distances. I know the team, the ladies team from Saskatchewan brought, I think they had altogether 13 people. Mums and dads and husbands and children.
To do that.
The one woman, the skip of that team, has a 2-month-old baby.
I don't know if you can see it all, though.
So, of course, the baby was along.
Okay.
And I saw the grandma walking around downstairs quite a bit, trying to... the baby was a little hungry, and Mummy was on the ice, so she was trying to keep things, the baby a little quiet, so it wasn't distracting everybody else.
You know, it's a support system, isn't it, for some of these curlers that go to competitions? And
oh, for sure.
We've seen that on TV at the Scotties or the Briar with the partner in the stands with the kids.
Whoa.
So Terry's been asked to remove the blue stone.
Yeah.
So now, while Ontario is shot, Team PEI have that rock nicely positioned, partly buried, top 8. So there are still lots of opportunities here for Team PEI. So Jody's trying to think here what she'd like to do. Sometimes they say that second shot is the best guard.
Absolutely.
So not sure whether she wants to try and draw in. I mean, I don't think she'd want to try and elect to hit that yellow rock top 8 because it could easily jam on her own. And
yeah, I think
we can also do this for now.
You know, a guard, tap, or just come right around itself. And then if PEI plays that yellow-blue raise, the blue rock's going to slam right into another blue one, at least partially.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, PEI is got their stones near the front of the house, so Ontario has to be careful.
So Chris Wannen is delivering the stone here.
Yeah, Kelly!
So it looks like the rock is starting to overcurl. So the call for our viewers at home, sometimes there's the request that one sweeper or the other sweep the rock. So the reason for that is the discovery a few years ago of the fact that which side of the rock that you sweep on can affect the amount that a rock curls. Recently, or last year actually, as a result of the discovery of that and the use of that at very high levels of curling, the World Curling Federation has implemented the new broom head covers to minimize the amount by which this can have an impact, but still see it called a lot.
Yeah, pretty dramatic video, I think, posted on YouTube by Brad Gushu and some of his teammates regarding that broom technology. And
this is curling.
You're on the front.
They're tapping here.
Yes.
Whoa!
And this is going to bump another blue stone up, but to the back of the forefoot. So not the worst result. No, not the worst result at all for PEI. I mean, it's open on that side, but I suspect Ontario's going to attempt to guard there.
And the angles are not good on those front yellow, the top yellow back onto the blue. But they still, if they can get to the yellow shot that's top 8 foot, just promote it. That's always going to be there for the skip.
Okay, lights the miss.
But
so the call here was to go into the forefoot, was
yes,
it,
it was.
Diane?
Yes,
okay,
to get Chris to draw in again. If they can get one partly around those guards, top 4, that's going to be putting a bit of pressure on Team PEI.
Yeah, it sure would.
Where is it, girls? Stop then, stop!
Looks like weight's all there on this one. Maybe going to the back.
Maybe a bit heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Needs to curl a bit.
Susie, go. Susie, go.
Gonna go right into the pile here.
It's going to go right into the pile, yep.
Hard.
Well, there's a huge opportunity now for Team Prince Edward Island. They've got lots of backing there, if you will. And if they can draw a rock down there, interesting conversation here.
And sit here?
Talking about throwing a takeout. I'm not really sure of the advantage of that.
It would have to be a setup shot because clearly one of those blues isn't going anywhere. But, they do have those 2 stones at the top of the house that they're maybe trying to think about bringing into play and score a multiple end here.
I think just board weight the back one.
Yeah.
So possibly going for the roll off this over onto the button area?
Okay.
Yeah, maybe, or even a hair on the high side. I think maybe they both roll together and you end up with yellow in front of blue anyway. And maybe they're hoping later maybe to make another shot. And
last third stone. There's still 2 rocks to come.
Yes!
This one is a bit tight, so if they get it by, we'll see this one probably flop back to the back of the button area.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I guess she knew what she was calling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice shot.
Yeah.
So she's there. It is behind the tee line, though, so Jody's electing to, I believe, draw down to it. And if Jody makes this nicely, it really does shrink the scoring area for Team PEI.
Sure does. Yeah. This is a shot where Jody has to be a bit careful. I think the worst result for Ontario here would be to have this one hang a little and be corner frozen on the outside. Then all of a sudden that brings PEI's game plan of a multiple end right into play with a hit to lie 3 or maybe 4, who knows. But skips are used to this kind of pressure. They earn their salary sometimes.
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 Mind you, I don't ever been getting paid to do this, so.
No, that's
Make sure, Kelly.
that's the tough part is the glory and the other side of the coin when
the glory and the shame.
Yeah, the glory and the shame. Yeah.
So this rock is coming down the ice.
Wow.
So I think it's close for weight, I would think.
I believe it's. I believe it is. Looks like we're going to be nose frozen here.
Okay. Very nice. I'm not sure if they're shot. Prince Edward Island may still be shot. But it's really shrinking the scoring area for sure for Team PEI. She's going to draw the button, basically. Again, the tap.
Because they're just going to do this, basically, I think.
So it seems they're concerned about the tap-tap. Then Ontario would be shot.
That's pretty close, but do you like this? Just draw?
Some tough angles for PEI to look at here, but you know, we've talked earlier in the game about the way that Lindsay's stones seem to curl a little bit more, and this might be one of those situations where that could prove to be an advantage if she can hook this one in there and maybe get some corner frees, possibly even to lie a second shot here.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yes, you're right. So this might be one of those times when it's advantageous to have a rock or even a delivery or a release that curls a bit more. And it really is, as long as people are consistent.
Well, that release was straight at me, and I got to say, it looked pretty textbook, to be honest.
Right
so
you can't go. You can't. Okay, we're on the outside.
Needs to curl a bit, I think, for the ladies.
Yep.
It's starting to come now.
So there's that.
Yes, there's that.
Shall we call it the Lindsay Moore finish here? And
go.
you know, I didn't see anything wrong with that release when she was coming straight at me.
No. So I think now I'm not sure who shot.
I can tell you who's got to be careful here, though, because the way those rocks are lined up, you know.
Yes, the meat in the sandwich kind of.
Yeah, a high side hit on that yellow stone. We might see some blues vacate the house.
So I think Jody is electing to throw a guard here. So I think they agree that this is to hold them to one, or at least force her to try and draw a button the other side. Might be a very difficult shot.
Well, that, or I mean, what other shot really does Jody have to try to improve the scenario at this point?
Yes.
I don't know, other than walking and carrying the stone down, where she could try to do anything much better than just block off any attempt by PEI to try to count a big end here.
Back where you were.
So I see over on ice D in the Ontario Newfoundland's men's game, Ontario stole 1 in 6, so the score is now tied 6-6 on that sheet.
Great comeback for the Ontario men there after the 5-ender for Newfoundland in the 4th, and clearly I would have to say the momentum swung back to Ontario's side when Newfoundland's watched them rattle off those 4 unanswered points. So they've got this one over. Now they're just trying to position it in the right spot so that there is no path in there for Lindsay Moore and PEI.
Bit of a hole, but not much, and you have to be able to throw it pretty hard.
They're going to call a timeout here and have a long look at this because, you know.
Yeah, I did call a timeout, yeah. Well,
so each team is allowed 2 timeouts in their 30-minute game. So for our viewers, each team has a time limit of 30 minutes, what we call thinking time. Whereas at one point it was throwing time.
Do you think that might spin out
it was
here
found
or
to be
not?
disadvantageous for teams that were throwing a lot of draws, and so 2 years ago it went to the thinking time.
Well, if we
so
hit
it's much
this side,
fairer.
I mean,
So the
there'll be a
ladies
bit of
are allowed
drag,
2
but
timeouts during their 30-minute period
I
of
don't
thinking
know.
time for an 8-end game.
Do you like that? Or we can draw.
Yeah, you know, they're really having a look at this because I think the risk-reward factor is playing a role, and as they were just discussing, any kind of a high side tap on that front yellow could jiggle things just enough to.
And if it overcurls, there's very little risk to this shot that I can see.
Is there a normal? Okay.
So we're almost finished the 6th end on sheet B between Team BC and Team Nova Scotia ladies. And after 6, Team Alberta is leading Team Nova Scotia 3-2 on the men's side.
Go.
So the last stone is on its
front.
way down from Lindsay. And unfortunately, she wrecked on the guard. So we'll see who scored.
1 blue.
1 blue.
Okay, guys.
1 blue is the indication. So another great end played by Team Ontario, and 2 steals in a row now. So PEI is going to be looking to get back to scoring some points.
So yeah, they're down by 2, playing 7. It's so certainly their objective this end. But you could look at this a couple of ways, depending how the end shapes up. You could play to keep it open, trying to get your 2 in the 8th end with hammer. And I'd say from Lindsay's perspective, or sorry, from Jody's perspective, she's going to be trying to force Team PEI into taking one here. Because that would make it ideal for her. She'd be up by 1 coming home.
Absolutely. This is go time for PEI. They want to get on the board here. Even a single's not at the end, obviously, but a deuce is what they're really after.
Deuce is what they're after, for sure.
Keep it in center, though.
I think this rock, she had asked for the ring to be, into the house, just top 12. It's a little short, but a tight guard is fine.
Good. Chris?
Always usable. And so here we see that Julie is asking Heather to throw up a corner. So good call when you're trying to produce multiple points with hammer is to throw up the corner guard.
Just a guard.
Yeah, and just a quick update over on, I guess it would be
like it's here.
Sheet E with the Nova Scotia Alberta teams. Alberta's ahead 3-2 after playing the 6th end.
And seem to be laying pretty good at the moment with a couple in there. So this rock slid into the house a bit. So that now allows Team Ontario the opportunity to hit this stone. So Susie will be asked to throw the takeout and remove the Team BEI rock from play. So this rock is starting to curl nicely. Should get almost to nose, but should remain in the house. So now it's be up to Team PEI and Julie much to decide what she wants to do. And it looks like she's elected to play the come around. So she's going to try and draw around that Ontario guard.
Line's
so
tight.
Heather McRae has been asked to draw in behind here.
Line's tight. You got to go line.
And the reference to the line being tight means that she must have slid narrow to the broom.
Yeah, you gotta go line.
And so
Gotta
they're
go
having
line.
to sweep it to get
Hard,
by.
hard,
If they get it by, the weight looks very nice.
Whoa.
Just a little bit of a rub. So it's still continued and is probably partially exposed for Team Ontario.
Do you like that, though? Or is it too,
So their decision here for Team Ontario looks like they're really going for the force and have
Top 4 is okay, Cal.
Elected to draw.
Top 4 is okay.
And the reference, I believe, to top 4 being okay. If it comes a bit deep, it allows Team PEI to freeze on it. So she wants her to draw. I mean, she could throw a soft hit at this
Susie,
rock
no!
and just move it back or roll out of play
Susie.
herself.
No.
They're waiting for this Kelly's rock to curl.
If it's anybody, it's Chris. I want to get to nose.
So as we were referring to earlier, it takes a lot of support from communities to run an event like this. And so we've had some support from some other great sponsors, both Print Fusion here in the community, who have looked after all our printing needs, as well as Bathworks, which is a local retail outlet for all bath and bathwork essentials, bath and kitchen.
Has to curl a lot.
So on, we now have
never.
Terry is trying to draw down to that. That's the Team Ontario rock that is sitting back button. Used to curl a bit. Looks like she's a bit heavy as well, and it's going to bounce off a bit.
It's a little heavy.
So PEI is second and third, or maybe just second, and Ontario is still shot back 4. So a couple of thoughts here, a couple of ways this could be played.
Okay, but top 4.
She could ignore this rock for now and draw.
If you're here, it's top 4.
She could elect to hit the yellow stone and roll in behind. If she'd ever get to the inside of that yellow rock and roll in behind the blue one, she'd have 2 over there that would be covered. Again, not having hammer for Ontario, wanting to put as much pressure on as possible, she's electing to throw another draw. In the end, at the moment, I would have to say that it's advantage Team Ontario in this end, but still early and lots can happen.
I don't want it open. No, if anyone cleans it, it's Chris. Get ready to finish it, Chris. Get it buried.
So this looks
finish,
like
finish. Hard. Okay.
Good shot. The rock is pretty well exposed for Team PEI. And depending on how it's hit, there may even be the opportunity of a double on these two stones, with a bit of a roll over to the left as we're looking at the screen.
I think board.
So the weight call is board. So there are various weights that can be thrown for takeouts. So board is what that refers to is how heavy the rock would need to be thrown for the rock to come to stop at about the backboards of the ice rink. So this rock is curling a lot. Not sure they're going to manage to get it past. Oh, that's unfortunate, and she's going to take her own out as well. So that was a huge break for Team Ontario.
Down, I think that one's out, but you might want to look.
So
I think it's out.
The bump,
I can see
the
white.
rub, now allows Team Ontario to really put a lot of pressure on Team PEI.
It's out, yeah.
By probably throwing up a guard, tight guard.
Halfway.
Would be an excellent shot. So in this game, there's lots that can happen and things can turn around very quickly. That's for sure. So over on sheet D, Ontario is continuing to apply pressure on Team Newfoundland. Ontario has a rock buried, just biting 4.
Back 12.
And it sounds like the guard that's being thrown by Chris is a bit heavy. It's coming down now.
Just
so
leave it,
it looks like a nice, it's not going to be a guard, but top 12, top 8. So as I said, there's two aspects or two ways to approach this. You could try and steal. If Ontario were to be able to steal another point in this game, that would be a huge advantage for them. Or there could be the ability to play the force. At this point in time, Team PEI, though, is in a world of hurt, if you will. And so Julie's been asked to, I'd say, throw a bit of heat to try and move as many of these blue rocks out of the house as she can, at least to open up that center area to make it a little easier for them to score.
Yeah, Diane, this is not shaping up at all as our team from PEI would have hoped. So it's time to break out the takeout and try and clean up things a little.
Yep, this rock is curling quite a bit. So we're moved to the top stone, and Ontario, I believe, is still lying, still lying 3, though it's hard to say for sure, and then left there, but 2 for sure. So the call is to throw a tight guard again for Chris.
Yeah, you bet. So Ontario's continuing to apply pressure here, even without hammer. And PEI, well, they need to hope for a half miss or something and make some great shots to try and turn this end around.
Yeah, right now there isn't a huge scoring area for Team PEI.
Whoa, overcurling.
So this is quite a bit lighter than her last shot, and I think as a result, just with the difference in the weight, Scott, it's just overcurled. It's still a nice guard. Actually, it's a very good guard looking down the ice, but being that high, there could be an opportunity to just come around it.
Yeah, exactly. And, credit to Jody. She's quite experienced. In fact, she's been to this event before in 2011, but she knew right away that the risk on that guard was to have it overcurl, so she was communicating that clearly to the sweepers. Continuing to sweep that stone would have overcurled it and left those 2 Ontario stones in the 4-foot exposed for PEI to make a play at.
And that's an interesting observation, because people, in terms of sweeping, because sweeping can do 2 things, actually. Sweeping can hold a rock straight, but once it starts to curl, the more you sweep, quite often the more you make it curl.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, there's 2 paths to a stone. There's the first half where it's running down the line or out, as we say, and then once it reaches that point where it starts to make the move, at that point when you're sweeping, you're basically making it curl more, and then the very last few feet of a stone's path, usually the time when it's really starting to curl or hook. And the great teams, they know when and when not to do that sweeping, and that's the benefit of having a good line call from the person in the house. Sometimes from the person throwing, but Usually the person in the house should have the power of veto, I think, in most cases.
So I noticed they were moving the broom around a bit down at the other end, so I'm not sure, just a bit uncertain about the line.
Easy. Yeah, I see.
And just briefly over on sheet D.
Well, the sweepers are not touching this one at all.
In our men's game between Team Ontario and Team Newfoundland, there was a blank in 7.
On its own.
So Newfoundland retains last rock and scores.
Freeze? No.
Remains the same at 6-6.
Well, so, you know, that stopped just in time, I think, for Jody. You know, maybe I shouldn't have given her all that praise on the line call last shot, but, you know, it stopped in time. But much deeper, things would be pretty tough.
Yep, so for Lindsay now, it's trying to get rid of some of those blue rocks that are in the house. And I mean, I know there's some folks in this club that could throw this rock hard enough to easily get rid of all 3 of those stones. I'm not sure that Lindsay can do that, but they certainly could. But this is where you have to be careful here is when you're putting the extra weight on that you don't, you know, you don't have as clean a release.
I think this is a great shot, and the Durskas may start to curl too much. If well, they're doing okay with it, actually.
They're sweeping here.
Yep. Okay. All right. Missed opportunity there to maybe move a little more granite off the forefoot, for
I
sure.
think so. I think it curl maybe a bit more than it did.
I agree. I don't mind it coming there.
Okay. So I think,
can I give it a bit extra?
I think Jody's going to basically put that rock back, if you will, at this point in time.
Have we got all the updates done on some of the other sheets?
No,
Diane,
so far I just only done D, that's for sure.
Okay. So I guess way over on sheet E, I guess it is. There's a score now of 5-2 for Alberta over Nova Scotia.
Scarred it.
And
it's all about
they're now playing their 8th end.
Still like tight.
So advantage for Team Alberta men over Nova Scotia, 5-2.
And 2 very well placed guards on sheet D between from the lead for our Team Ontario. 2 beautifully placed guards, one just over the hog and one very close to the house. So that takes real skill.
Yeah, you know, that's amazing. And when you're the skip tied without hammer, you want those first 2 stones pretty much right where they are, one long, one short. And of course, now they'll have one more chance for the Ontario men to get around.
I don't think
anyway,
so,
back
Chris.
to our game. The guard from Jody.
Yep, Gardy. Or even top 12. Looks, they say it's over curling.
Whoa.
I don't think that's going to be an easy shot for Lindsay, regardless of the outcome of this, to be honest. Unless it really curls, and I don't think it will. So she has to decide what she wants to do here.
Well done by Jody, and
yes,
boy,
perfect guard.
I think you could just tap it back.
I mean, I think it really is very much maybe a,
like a
back 4 kind of shot
like
here.
That? Just a back 8
She just has to move it a bit.
Just like a back 8 weight.
To
try to get one?
Score anyway.
Yep.
This isn't about throwing big heat to get rid of those rocks at this point. It's really about drawing down to that and just moving that rock off the button a bit and hopefully being able to score their 1.
Yeah, no, this is a complete time for the soft touch and the finesse, because throwing anything high and hard here is not going to help out PI. But there is an opportunity for sure, I think, especially if we can get a little bit of movement with the back 4 kind of weight. Worst case scenario, yeah, I mean...
So they were communicating with the weight that they want, so they're going to try and throw a back 8 weight, which would make sense.
Mm-hmm. They do really want to try to score 1 here.
They really do. This is probably the key shot of the game for Team PEI. If she makes this shot and takes one.
Here. It's looking like it's
lots of line.
Possibly
lots of line.
Hair on the lighter side.
No, you can't. Terry,
they want to go for weight, but
yep. Hard.
Maybe. Boy, that's close.
Oh, very, very
good
close.
Try.
Oh,
Real
I think
nice
you need to
try
curl
from,
a fraction
Skip
more.
Lindsay there, yeah.
Yep. So it does appear that Ontario has stolen 1 more.
Yeah. Okay, girls.
Yeah. Yep.
Susie.
So it's score now is Team Ontario 5 and Team Prince Edward Island 2.
Yeah.
No more guards. You've done your job.
Yeah, you know what? Just overheard a conversation there between Jody, the skip for Ontario, and Susie, the lead, and well done on Jody's part. She had a moment to talk privately with Susie and said, you know what, no more guards, you've done your part. And
what did she say to you?
Just making it clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, tolerance in this case is to be through the house.
Absolutely, yeah. I think, I don't even think like some teams would do, they'll throw one in the button. I think you're going to see this one sail completely through the house because really anything in the house is just freeze material for PEI. So.
Yep, the whole tolerance conversation, and for people watching, that's really just about understanding what we would also refer to as the pro miss.
Well, she has actually called for this to be top 4, so.
But again, I'm sure in her mind it was, if anything, don't be, you know, don't be light.
That's fine.
But just slipping back 4, back 8 would not be something you want.
Yeah.
Aisle right. Good judge.
And over, so Ontario, Team Ontario on sheet D. Well, there is a Team Newfoundland Rock in the house. Still some rocks in play.
Yeah, there's a top 12 guard for Ontario there, and a tap back attempt here to have Ontario possibly lie as many as 3.
Mine's a little tight.
So Heather's being asked here to throw up a corner guard. And really, again, as we were saying earlier, the role of the lead on these shots is so critical.
Absolutely.
Keep it going.
They need, PEI needs to make all 8 perfect here this end, and it all starts with the first pair. So that one's over.
Yep.
It's long, but it's over.
But at least it's a guard.
It's
for
a guard.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just froze into it.
Smart move here by Jody. We've got one in the house already, so just you know, stack this next one in there, and then they'll probably go about trying to clean up any guards that are out there.
That would make sense for sure.
Yeah.
So again, in Susie's mind, tolerance here again would be even to bump that rock back a bit rather than to be throwing a guard.
Let it go on it. I don't think so.
And as we said earlier, Jody is familiar with this kind of pressure, having played in the final previously, several years ago in 2011. So, and that's you know, that helps. That really is very helpful at this level, at this point in time in the tournament, to have been there before and played these kind of pressure games, make pressure shots.
Well, you know, I can think of experience helping in many ways, and you look at a team like Gushu when they went to the Olympics with very experienced Russ Howard. I mean, obviously those young fellas probably relied on a lot of the experience from Mr. Howard, and certainly worked out for him, I'd say.
Keep her going.
I think so. So that was a nice shot that was just delivered by Team Ontario by Susie, top 8.
Okay.
Guarding the shot stone. And this was a good shot as well. I believe it may be just biting.
So either or here, if I'm the skip, I really don't care which yellow you hit, but
if you
make sure we get, yeah, there it is. You know, make sure we get rid of one of those yellow anyway, and let's not go overly enthusiastic here either, because we don't need.
You like that?
We just need to make sure one yellow. Getting out of there.
That's right. That's right. And part of it's the line call by the skip as well. She has to decide at some point if it's not going to make the called shot, at what point she wants. As usually, she wants to make sure she gets rid of one. I mean, nothing worse than just feathering both or just one and leaving it in play. Both of them in play.
Yeah, another update for you. We'll just let this rock come through, and oh my goodness.
Oh, I think she's missed everything.
That's a scenario I didn't describe and the one we don't want to see. But over on sheet B, we've now got another 1-point game here.
Do you want to come here?
Beginning the 8th
or we can tap this back too.
Nova Scotia has 3 and BC is at 4. So they blanked the last end. Nova Scotia has hammer down 1, playing the 8th end on sheet B.
And so it's important to know that each of these teams, the winners obviously go on to our semifinals.
How much?
Tonight.
Yeah, that game starts at 6:30. I think you mentioned earlier, Diane, for our viewers if they want to make their plan.
Yep.
And I believe, unfortunately, for the teams that lose, I think this is it for them. This is their tournament. But they've all played very well throughout the week. They must have to get here. So.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Time up.
So we're seeing a bit more stones in play just at the moment, and Jody's going down to have a little chat with her third.
About what to do, and she, I believe,
if we try that double, we like that.
I believe she called a timeout as well. So just wanting to make sure that they have the time to think through this. It is a critical shot in the end. They're sitting nicely at 2.
Yeah, we could.
The reality is, though, that they want to do what they can to keep Team PEI from getting in behind. There's lots of guards. There's still lots of opportunity for them to get their 3.
You kind of have to
So is it, do you keep it clean and try and get rid of both of those guards? I mean, that's an option, the 2 yellow guards at front. If you hit it well, you probably could.
Well, obviously, if I'm going to
You know, it's a scoreboard, you know, you're up by 3. You don't have the hammer. The way the house looks right now, I mean, probably every bone in Jody's body is screaming, let's get rid of something. But, you know, the case could be made just to come in, soft tap that blue stone, and I don't know, you're lying 3 right down the middle, and what's PI going to do about it? I mean,
we know this line now.
it's wise of them to take a timeout and talk it over.
Yep, and it seemed to be a team consensus. And also what I saw there that was a bit of a light moment, if you will, amongst the 4 of them, which is always good to see in a game like this at this point in the game.
Yeah.
So they were able to have a joke and a bit of a laugh, so that's always good.
Yeah, we have a final, it looks like, over on our Alberta Nova Scotia game. My suspicion is that
like a lot.
Alberta's won that, but we'll wait for the official result before I say anything.
So this rock is coming down the ice.
Are they going to do that tap maybe on the blue?
Maybe, yes. I think the call was top 12 anyway.
Yeah, okay.
So definitely in the house. So Kelly's rock is coming in nicely, and Susie's sweeping it, I think, to help it curl a little bit, if you will.
So I think Jody and the team decided, you know, look, we're in too deep, and there's a risk if we try to make the double on the yellows of jamming something. So let's just put some more pressure on and just see.
So Julie's doing a bit of realizing that in order for her to get in there, that Terry's going to have to try and remove something.
Yeah. There's a chance here to move a bit of granite if we hit this in the right place. It does have to curl, though.
Has to curl.
You want to keep this shooter around if at all possible.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
So mission accomplished for Team Ontario. They get to. Well, she could try the same thing again, and you can tap it a bit herself. Tap the blue back. She's elected to try the same shot, to play the same shot. Yes, I guess Team PEI could elect to promote one of those, her yellow rock. It's there.
Yeah, it is official over on Sheet E that Alberta has won 5-3 in 8 ends. So the Alberta men will move on and play this evening.
And of course, the teams that finish first in their pool after round robin play get a bye directly to the semifinals. So, as you meant, they get to have a bit more time off and relax a bit more today.
Is it coming deeper than half or still half? Hard.
And there were in a few of the pools, the top 2 teams were tied with identical records, and it was just a matter, it came down to their head-to-head play against each other. So there was a guard, I think, a little higher than what was called, but. So there's now they're looking at and PEI has 4 rocks left, so could still get their 3 at this point. Interesting on this shot, and maybe in terms of weight call. I mean,
the yellow.
They have to make sure that their yellow rock stays in play. So
I'd suspect something boardish controlled to make sure that we hit the stone where we want to. You know, I can't help but peek over to. The sheet next door on the right with the men from Ontario and Newfoundland. It's getting down to the last few stones of the end, and it's right now at the moment both a Newfoundland and an Ontario stone biting the forefoot. Newfoundland stone is on the top part of the button, which is always beneficial, but this stone's coming down.
So is this rock over curling?
It looks like it might be.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
that's a shame.
That's a shame.
Another inch on the high side, and it would do exactly what they wanted.
It's either up there
I think
or
yes.
another one here.
So that's the option. At this point, Team Ontario will not be removing any of those yellow stones because the only way that could be helped out Team PI at this point was to promote the yellow rock.
Yeah, I
talk about it.
I think you block the yellow raise.
Yep.
Is my view.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
That's the one that's really going to possibly hurt you.
Correct. Yep, I would agree with that. If you can place a rock in front of it about halfway over the hog line between halfway hog and house.
If she ever hits that yellow one across the top of that blue and doubles those blues out, all of a sudden they are lying too yellow. I know they're both in the 12-footer,
but still, yep. So that biter that we have at the top house, depending on what happens here, could actually come into play at some point in the end.
I don't mind that either.
Quick update for everybody at home who's interested in the BC Nova Scotia ladies game. At the moment, BC's got one biting button. There's a Nova Scotia Yellowstone in front of that near center, but there are no center guards in play. Of course, Nova Scotia has Hammer, so.
I don't want to touch the blue.
And they're on skip stones on sheet D between Team Ontario and Team Newfoundland.
So just halfway right in line there with the yellow.
But it is hard to see from this angle who is shot.
And the Ontario men's game, I have a different angle here. And
does it look like Ontario?
Like really get
it does. It does to me by an inch. Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Okay. Guard.
So I've had it confirmed by one of our spectators that it is Team Ontario.
You're not trusting my eyes on my birthday, are you, Diane?
No, I had to go to somebody else to get verification.
The glasses are just for reading, by the way. So.
All right.
Now the tap attempt from Newfoundland here. Oh, actually, maybe to tap the Ontario Bluestone back,
and it looks like
a bit. Looks like it's working. Oh, and worked beautifully too, because it tapped it right behind the this Newfoundland stone.
So on this shot,
I think they're playing the guard of the yellows.
I believe they're guarding the yellow. So after that that good conversation that they had, I think they've agreed as a team, and it's important that you agree as a team on these key shots.
Just halfway.
So I think they'd like a halfway guard. Halfway.
And, the early indication is that it's tight guard weight, so maybe a little heavy on this one.
Needs to curl a bit.
If they
what they don't want to do
is they chip that blue and roll open. That's not really accomplished what they wanted. But
okay, Suze.
May die.
Little, Suze. Little.
Oh, good.
That's fine.
That's
Got in the way enough. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's fine. So that works well for Ontario. So now Team PEI is going to be taking a timeout.
That's gone, so I think
very
we
difficult.
Just draw.
But they need 3 here to tie.
What?
Yeah, and there's only 3 stones left in the end, so every one of these has to count. So I agree, though, with the assessment by Julie. I mean, I don't see anything up top that's really going to help PEI, so I think they got to make 3 absolute beauties.
Yes.
And hope for some misses from Ontario skip Jody. But boy, the way Jody's played this game so far, she's
we need a rock in the house.
Yeah,
well played game.
We don't have percentages, but really all the players have curled well. But
the yellow run's
Jody's
not there.
Yep.
Made most of the shots I've seen.
Yeah, she curled very well. So waiting for Julie to deliver her stone here.
A lot happening right now on these 3 sheets. Everybody, we're trying to do our best to keep an eye on all of it.
And on sheet D, it's last rock coming from Team Ontario.
Has to curl a mile.
He's got to draw to the rock back button. Not an easy shot. So this rock cannot obviously be heavy if it goes through the house.
Sit.
Looks like it may stop just beside or
all right,
just,
so it's second shot, so that's fine.
Ontario's draw attempt to the button
this
here on sheet D, and the boys are not on it at all.
Yeah, no.
And it may be...
Bye.
Yeah, just too heavy. Yeah, so I don't think Newfoundland's going to have to throw their last, and...
that's unfortunate.
Yes, it is. You know, those boys played a well-curled game on both sides of that, but to come back after giving up that 5.
Yes.
Credit to the Ontario men
Chris,
for
shot. Yes.
And skip St. Dennis on that one. That just slid a little bit, you know.
Just a little bit.
You know, the sheet next door just quit too, and you know, sometimes vacant sheet beside you can slightly change things, but that was a tough draw. He had to get a good piece of the button. So here we've got
So it looks
Jody.
like she's drawing. Jody's drawing here.
She throws a cap on this. I think it's almost handshakes, because what else can you do, you know?
Yep, I agree. I mean, she could remove that rock from play. That is another option, but there would be a bit of a risk.
Yeah. Next door in the Nova Scotia BC game, Nova Scotia just played a peel. They currently lay 1 in the 4-foot with no guards, and Nova Scotia also has the advantage of last shot.
So nice, nice guard here by.
It is, yep.
By Jody. I mean,
still an opportunity, I guess, if you're PEI and you're looking at any.
Well, can they promote the the Yellowstone that we see left on the left side of the screen? That's the one that's biting the top 12. Is there a way to promote that?
I think they're
somehow?
looking at a double raise here and throwing a little angle to boot, and
just know
that's pretty much all they have. And sometimes, you know, those teams that they only have one option, one shot.
Right on the nose.
Solidifies the thinking. No, there's no second guessing what you have to do here.
That's correct. Not an easy shot, though.
No, I'm glad I'm not throwing it, to be honest.
It's a long run back. That guard is very high, so
Yeah.
calling the line on it even is difficult.
Nice
So
controlled weight.
throwing this rock here.
Hard.
Oh, they're already calling sweeping.
Okay.
It's
It's
not,
over
not
curling.
out there yet.
Yes, over curling.
Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't know what possibilities are now.
Much they can do. I can see how they can get 2 out of this, but
Yeah.
I can't see
Well,
how they
you
can
know,
get 3.
Earlier I mentioned the comment about cleaning all stones, and I don't blame them if they don't shake right now, but I don't think Ontario would throw anything anywhere near that yellow to raise it in. But that's what happened in a game I was in as a front-end player. The vice yelled off, we got off, and the rock picked and angle raised us. We were looking to get 5 on a simple hit, and we angle raised them into steal 1, and boy, what a turning point in our game. Yeah.
So in our game, Team Prince Edward Island has conceded, realizing that they couldn't get the 3 that they needed. So our final score was Team Ontario 5 and Team Prince Edward Island 2. So Ontario moves on to the semifinals this evening.
So over here next door, we've got the hit coming from Nova Scotia Skip on the blue stone, trying to squeeze that out. And she successfully squeezed that right out of the house.
Lovely shot. So
Nova Scotia lies 1, but BC lies second shot and now has their last stone of the end.
And Team Nova Scotia does have hammer in this end. So this is really, I believe, down to last shot.
It is.
Team
So
BC.
I think BC is looking, the only real chance they have is to weld this on there, but they also have to be shot. So
they have to be shot. So I think they have to move it a little bit. It's that rock is well positioned to be just in front of the tee line.
You know, that being the case, what happens in the Nova Scotia Skip's mind maybe if they play the hit on this and roll a bit? Does the Nova Scotia Skip draw, or do they take a chance on the hit and stick?
Exactly. Well, there's a lot of other yellow rocks in that house, but I think it's helpful for.
They're calling for looks like the tap.
Yep.
Yeah, tap freeze. They've got to move it a bit, and the skip for Nova Scotia, to her credit, just made a great hit on a rock that was nearly frozen. So with this much separation here, you never know.
You never know. No.
You want to make her throw it.
Yeah, the pressure of the last rock to advance to a semifinal and a national championship.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Last rock of the game for Team British Columbia.
Possibly, as long as we don't go to an extra end.
That's true. Yes, we could do that.
Looks initially they're happy with everything, but
may need to curl a bit. We haven't been watching this ice, so we really don't know how much it curls or.
No. It's starting to come, but the Nova Scotia Skip is ready to sweep if she sees an opportunity to move anything. But this looks like they've done what they wanted.
Well, it does. So here we have it. She has to hit and stay.
Well, I guess you're right. Yeah, we need to one to tie and 2 for the win.
2 for the win.
So.
And I don't know if she were to nose that blue and hit it back on the other blue, who would be second shot. So she can't. This has to be a fairly precise shot because she can't afford to roll too much to the right as we're looking at it.
This is no gimme, and this one's for the game.
And this one's for the game. So yeah, she's got to be careful. She's got to remove that rock. She has to hit it a bit on the right side, or because she can't risk hitting her own.
Taking ice very nearly to the center of the stone, just a hair to the left of center. So I expect to see some weight on this. And she threw something just like this in a similar path.
And this is another team, because I broadcast one of their games. Team Nova Scotia is another one of the teams where the young woman who throws last stone is not in the house.
Right.
So so
this one needs to curl, I think. It's a bit on the high side of things, so
we might have just a 1.
She got enough. Yep.
Yes, so you were right.
Like,
an extra end.
Looks like my commentating career continues
yes,
for
right.
another end at least.
That's exactly right. We just don't want to quit.
No, I guess we're okay with that over here in the technical booth. We're going to keep going and cover this extra end. Okay, so we got the green light, folks.
We got the green light. Okay, so we'll be
the boys
there
are going to work for overtime.
For the Team BC fans and the Nova Scotia fans. We'll be here to provide you with the commentary for that as well. But I know from a volunteer perspective, we, you said it's a lot of work. I think it's kind of like planning a wedding, something like this. You're originally months away, and it's like, oh, it's months away, and then all of a sudden it's here. But so we've had such a dedicated crew of volunteers, and all of the players have been so appreciative of all the efforts, and that makes it all worthwhile, regardless of how much work and effort it is. At the end of the day, when you have people come up to you that you don't know, players from across the country, and everybody to a person has been expressing what a wonderful chance, what a wonderful time they've had in the community, and how everyone has made them feel so welcome, then it's all worthwhile.
Yeah, it sure is. Driving home several of the teams, many thanks from the players, and they said the ice is great, the town's great, but the volunteers are what really makes the event, and that's just great. And kudos to the organizers, the great volunteer chairs and committee leaders that got us all in line, got us schedules where we need to be.
We tried to whip you guys into shape. Yeah. Some of you are more difficult to do that with than others.
Yeah, that's right. So I noticed as the Nova Scotia skip came down the line there, she was trying to shake off that last shot, and she's got to do that. It's a new end.
Yep, they're tied.
Yeah. You've got BC with the hammer, so BC has to feel, a little more confident, I suppose, knowing that they have last shot. But I expect we'll see a couple of guards out of Nova Scotia early, right down the center, and then game on at that point.
Mm-hmm. So, and I see that there is a bit of a period of time. I think it was a few minutes between the end of that end and the start of the extra. So the ladies have a bit of time to regroup mentally, have a bit of a chat maybe as a team about the end, and more specifically, not the past end, but how do you want to approach this end?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's pretty straightforward, as you said, given the circumstances of a tie game. It'll be interesting to see from Team BC's perspective how they play it. Mm-hmm. Since it is tied, it's a matter of, you could say first in kind of thing, or it could be really just making every effort to keep the front open. We haven't seen a lot when I've been watching of the tick shot being called.
Yeah, I looked all over the place. Lisa Weagle wasn't here this week, but she's well known. They've even called the shot the Weagle a few times, and that may be the new name for it. But we might see it come into play this end. I mean, what I've done sometimes in my games is, call the come around, but the mistake is tight ice, and if we get the tick and split for two corners, well, not the worst thing in the world when you're trying to get those stones
absolutely.
off center.
So I think this looks a little warm. I think this might actually be it's going to come down.
Nice stone, though.
Nice stone.
Yeah.
Nice tight guard.
Yeah. The Nova Scotia lead, she did a great job on that one, and Nova Scotia.
That was Dallas Wilson.
Yeah, there you go.
So now, what is this call?
Oh, yeah, we'll have to look at it on our monitor.
It looks like she's getting. She's just coming back.
Oh, we had a gripper controversy. The little mismatch of grippers between the two ladies in the house.
So just ditched it.
Yeah. No, I think.
So it looks like she's calling the come around.
Yep.
So there you are. Now, and maybe part of the thinking is because that guard is fairly close to the house.
Yeah. This first stone from Jen Gauthier, the BC lead. Come around is the call. My eye says it's got a curl and maybe a hair heavy, but we haven't been watching this sheet.
We haven't been watching this sheet at all. So you heard it there. It's not curling at all.
No, might have got lucky and called that one right.
Well, and you mentioned it, referenced it earlier when in regards to the Team Ontario Newfoundland game. But now that there's nobody else out there, the ice conditions can change, and that's something that a team has to keep in your mind.
Yeah, it's hard though to have that in your mind when you're coming down to the last shot in the extra end to move on to the semi-final game, right?
And that's why it's important that that people be keeping track of running times, and not even necessarily for their own team, but for the other team.
Exactly.
So it gives the skips an idea of how heavy, if the ice has changed, if the ice conditions have changed, especially the speed has changed.
Yeah.
The skips having to throw a draw.
Yeah. No, I have often asked my front end to do that, not just to time our rocks, but especially in the late stages like this. If my opposing skip's throwing a draw and I might have to throw one after him, boy, I'd like to know what time he threw, make the appropriate adjustments. But that rock sliding there, the second stone from the Nova Scotia lead, that one slid deep. They didn't touch the broom to it at all. So I suspect maybe we've seen a little pickup in the pace of the ice. Yeah, just a hair. Yeah. Certainly it hasn't gone the other way and slowed down. So
they're sweeping this to, I think, just for line. The weight looks
This looks great on both sides of it. Yeah, actually, too good too early is never the best move. This one here is
a little light.
Little light,
but a big guard, which is a huge advantage for Team Nova Scotia now. So Mandy Grace plays second for Team Nova Scotia. So Mandy will be. So let's see if we can get a time on this one. And then Scott and I are both going to do it. We're going to compare and see how good we are.
No, I am actually doing the back line to hog.
Okay.
I got a 396 on that one, so when I curl with the boys here, that should be close to draw.
Yep. I'm going to be curling a bit on her.
It is. I think it's just all bad line.
Yeah, that's a bit late, I think, to get it as I come around for sure. Oh, yeah.
Well, now.
Yeah, that was almost 17 seconds hog to hog.
Yeah.
So little light.
Little light.
When we were earlier in the other game, it was around 14 and a half was T, so 17 seconds is a little light. It's not bad to have another guard. There's nothing actually wrong with that in this instance. Sure. I mean, they only need to score one.
Yep. So now we're going to see a bit of a house cleaning opportunity here. The call from BC Skip Kim here is to have the second Dawn Masana do a little cleanup on these yellow guards.
And that's a good call under the circumstances, because she wants to be sure that on her last one, her shot is as uncomplicated as it can be.
Yeah.
This needs to curl a bit.
Yeah, I think we've got it.
Well, she just picked the top one off, so that's fine.
Yep.
Probably would have liked to curl a little more, because there was an opportunity there to get rid of a couple of those guards. So now Team Nova Scotia and Selena Thompson, who calls the game. So now she's calling for the draw around again. See if you can get a different time on this. We'll see if you get the 370, and we'll see if that's about.
I missed it, Diane. Sorry.
Okay.
A little rusty. I haven't played second in a while and timed those splits. So I got distracted with something out of the corner of my eye. So anyway, it looks good. The Broomers are on it. Yeah, we're sweeping. I think it's now just about getting it by. Looks like we may be racking on that yellow.
So that was 15 and a half?
Yeah.
So again, I would say from that is probably running pretty consistent to what it was over on our sheet here.
Yeah. We've had reasonably good weather here in Kingston, but today is a bit of a warmer day, +8, and we've had temperatures in the -3s, -5s. I don't think we'll have any issues with frost or anything. It's not going to get that warm, but the ice has been pretty consistent all week, and as you said earlier, it's maintained that for the full duration of the game. So I don't think there's any issue to a great extent.
So it looks like she's electing to draw. So she's given up, I guess, for now on trying to clear the front. And at some point, again, you have to look at the skills of the player that's throwing the rock. And, and again, as I said, the score is tied. So there is also the mentality of first in.
Yep.
And they already do have one at the back, 8.
Yeah, this final stone from BC second Dawn Masana is out-turn draw, and it looks like it needs to curl and slow down. Not too far off, but it's definitely going to be behind T.
Just a bit heavy.
Yeah.
Bit heavy, which for Team Nova Scotia is Now there's lots of stuff back there.
Yeah,
but they wouldn't want to necessarily, obviously they don't want to draw to it. The objective would be to draw top 4 here. Again, we haven't been watching this, so not sure of the amount of curl on this sheet, but if they could get top 4 even partly behind all of those guards, it's going to make it very hard for Team British Columbia to remove anything, and so then it becomes a draw to the button kind of game.
Yeah, you know, right about there, they obviously wanted that, BC wanted that stone to be somewhere top 4, even if it's not buried, you know. But right now, the opportunity here is Nova Scotia has a chance.
Yep,
the doors left open.
Yes.
They've got guards up front, 4 foot, and the entire area is wide open. So something in front of the tee line here, even partially buried,
would be a good shot.
Yeah,
setting up the end well for Team BC.
They're concerned about line here, I think, a little. The weight's there, I think.
Yeah, the weight seems to be there, and it doesn't seem to be get it by, and then get off. Still a little heavy.
By an inch, yeah.
Still a little heavy, so going to be behind the tee. So it is. I think it really is first in.
Yeah, and you know, we may see the impact of some nerves here a little bit, because teams have seen a few draws now, and I guess we're still waiting for that one top button. You know,
yeah, that's correct.
It's
yes.
Sometimes a tendency to squeeze a little harder on that handle and try to make it right from the hack, and you've got to throw that to the sweepers.
And I've been hearing from some of our commentators, or our viewers have been texting me about. Can't believe some of the strategy calls in this end. It's the skip's preference, and it's the team's preference, and it's playing to strengths sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't disagree with abandoning the clean up the house when we had those 3 Yellowstones and the blue up there. I mean, this is not...
beautiful shot there.
Yeah,
very nice.
Not somebody like Brent Lang throwing, you know, massive peel weight, or some of the local fellas
Or
from
some
here.
of the local fellows.
Yeah.
One of which is the one that's commenting to me,
Yeah,
actually.
that doesn't surprise me at all.
But anyway, so yeah, so here we go.
We'll see what ends up working out at the end of it all, but you know, there's an opportunity again. Now this one looks hot.
Yeah, they're not sweeping this at all. So, and I mean, the tolerance here is to be a bit short. Even if it's not shot, it's promotable.
Well,
it's coming in nicely. I just don't know if it's going to curl enough for her. So I think it's just a little warm. Yes, it is. So.
Well, now if boy,
if
BC
British Columbia
can throw
can
one
put something in there
BC's
nicely.
Third Heather, boy, if she
top 4.
gets this in there, you know, even if she's top 8.
Yes. Oh, I agree. That's
a
tolerance. Yes, just it's more to kind of obstruct the draw line, if you will, to get into the 4 foot.
I think in her mind, sitting there, she's thinking, I got to throw this, you know, top 12. Let the sweepers drag it the rest of the way. You know, try to put that on the tee line.
Now, what you don't want to do, though, is have a high guard here. That would be not something you would want. All right,
here we go.
Here we go.
This looks like
looks pretty good.
Yeah, exactly what we were talking about. Again, the miss would be to be a hair light. This may be a bit lighter than they wanted, because I think.
I don't know if the draw is available on the other side. Again, Scott, we haven't been looking at this sheet, so I don't know if it would curl enough to get by the yellow, that we see here, you know, on the left, and actually get to button.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the thing for Team British Columbia, the advantage again is even if that rock, if Team Nova Scotia were to try and promote that, really their rock back button is just going to jam on the yellow one, I think. So.
Yeah,
you know,
to our viewers at home, I mean, just bear in mind the camera angle we're showing you right now is making it appear, I think, worse than it is on the intern side. But it certainly would have to be a perfect draw on the intern side to get a piece of the button. That outside yellow guard is pretty much 2 stones from the center line. And
it would have to really curl after it gets by it.
But it's high enough, and the stagger's right.
Yes,
and if you just feather or paper that yellow guard, I wouldn't bet you couldn't.
So we see that Team Nova Scotia has taken a timeout. Important. They have one. Each team has 1 timeout in the extra end, and this is a critical shot.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah.
This could very well be the shot to determine the game.
I think you do something there, or you know, maybe you just you know, hit one of those blues there. I don't think you can get to the crotch of the 2 blue, but if you could at least nose that blue, that's really a problem. it's there for you to do something with on your next one, right? You've got to think a shot or two ahead.
So it looks like we're down to skip rocks here, and on this team, Liz Garnett, who is the third, actually throws last rock. So this will be Liz's first in the extra.
Yep.
And it looks like they are going to be throwing some heat down here. So
and we know she can throw it because we saw that last end with that rock that was nearly frozen.
Yep.
And
so we'll see what she does here. And I think this is really about trying to open up the front for herself for her next one.
it's odd, isn't it, that the team without Hammer now is trying to open up the front. So to the comments earlier from some of the locals, you know, a bit of a turnaround.
For sure.
You know, here's the team without Hammer now
having to clear
having
the
to
front.
open up a little. Yeah. But that's due to a couple good shots from BC. They're getting in
well,
there
and
getting
just a
on
couple of their
top.
rocks just a little heavy, unfortunately. All right, so now they think they need this rock to curl a bit.
This might move a few things around and certainly give us
she's
some
opened,
other possibilities.
Open that up a bit on the one side. Now we'll probably get an opportunity to see how much it curls coming the other way. And the call is for the rock to be top 8. And if they put this rock in the right spot, not sure if there's any way that Team PI can get in. I don't know if the rock, as we see it to the right here, this guard, not sure because you can't see angles. Not sure whether it's promotable back into the button area.
It has a clean path to sit on top of the blue that's currently shot, so you could get it by with a perfect angle raise, but
and that might be the
might be all they have left.
Might be all they have left.
Yeah.
But at least she'll have a shot.
Yeah.
Which is good. All right, so for their skip from Team British Columbia,
Kim Dennis there, she's getting settled and ready to throw this one in there, and I would think she'd be happy with anything top 4 or better.
That's right, and again, what she doesn't want to do is be heavy. That's the one thing here. She does not want to slip behind the tee line or behind the back button and give a nice little wall for
the
for
call
Liz to
from
come
the
down
sweepers
to.
is it may in fact be a little bit warm. They're saying 7-8 for those who use zone times, and it looks to me like it's every bit of that.
Yes, it does look from the hog to hogs almost not quite
where
14.
They wanted this one, I don't think.
Now, and on this particular rock, which they did there, but they might have elected to sweep it even sooner, to be honest, because if they'd taken it, what they didn't want to do was to stop a foot short of there. So the communication to the woman in the house was it was heavy, so it might have been, and they did manage to carry it far enough back.
Yeah, well, you know, Liz is probably quite happy with the result there and thought she might have to throw a really difficult angle raise, and now she's got a clean path to, well, basically get right in the button.
To
well
get
going
right
on.
into the button,
yeah.
and if she can get to the corner of that blue stone, get to the button, it'll be very difficult for Team British Columbia to score.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? It's odd, but it might be the other skip looking at that difficult angle race to try to get this rock out of there, believe it or not. It's funny how things can turn around in an end.
Yes.
The emotions that go on in a skip's head is not a fun place to be sometimes.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, so here's Liz throwing her last rock. Lots of time left, so she can sit in the hack and focus. So you can picture what she wants to happen here.
Really smooth delivery. I got about a 390 split on that, so it should be pretty close.
A bit light, maybe. We'll see. See what we're doing
here.
here.
They can go on at any time. It's up to the sweepers. Yep. They got to go hard. Boy, they really got to bear down. They've been sweeping all week. This is nice. If they can get it there, it looks perfect for line. They got to go. They got to go. They got to go.
I think.
Oh. Boy, oh boy. Now they're doing a timeout.
Not well, and we don't have the advantage of being over it, so not sure who is shot.
Well, the thing is, if it's close enough to measure, we're not going to see them not throw this shot.
Absolutely.
Right? Skip can't say anything about that. I mean, she gave it to the sweepers.
Yep. And hog line was 14.5, so very hog to hog, 14.5 seconds. So.
Well, you couldn't come down there heavy, split, roll off the side. I mean, you needed to.
She threw it well.
Yeah,
she threw it well. She threw it as well as she could.
To the credit of this team, you know, they were part of the tiebreaker scenario, were they not? Nova Scotia.
Team Nova Scotia was. They had to play. So at the end of round robin play last night, there were 3 teams in their pool, each with a 3-3 record. So they played at 11 o'clock They didn't play at 11 o'clock. They were one of the fortunate teams that didn't. But
this morning.
But they still had to play at 8:30 this morning and were successful and won that game. And
well, you can see the ladies over there on the sideboards talking to Liz Garnett right now, and yeah, they're probably feeling the spaghetti arms, as you call them, as your front end, and getting a little low on the gas tank.
It's really about how confident you are about the rings and whether, and you know, can even come down to whether the hole itself is actually in the center when things are that close if you're doing a measure. But it looks like they must feel they need to move it out of there. So it looks like the skip for Team British Columbia is considering a double raise takeout.
Yeah.
Raising those two blues back onto that yellow rock. Not an easy shot.
Credit to that front end. I mean, every lick mattered on that one, because if it's not visually close enough to cause doubt for Team BC, I mean, we're going to a stick right now, and they're not even throwing this one. So, you know, this is...
Yep, looks like she's also now considering, and she still has lots of time. She has a minute and a half to go.
Yeah. I almost feel like leaving the microphone going straight behind here so I can see if there's any chance to pick that yellow rock off the button, maybe with an in-turn, you know.
Yep.
Because even if you hit the top of the blue's not going anywhere. You just need to get that yellow moving sideways and go over the top of that blue that we may suspect could be shot.
Yeah, I don't know that the pick would be difficult without jamming on the blue. They'd have to be extremely thin and extremely hard, if you know what I'm saying. So it looks like because she was for a moment considering the straight run back, the high yellow, but now I think she's back to the double blues. So I guess she doesn't feel that she can throw very soft weight and come across the face of the yellow, because that yellow guard is quite high.
Yeah, it is.
So whether she could throw like a back line-ish kind of weight and come across the face and move it, but obviously she doesn't feel she can.
I mean, we saw it in an earlier game I commentated. I think it was the Northwest Territories team earlier in the week, and she attempted a draw to get a piece of the button in a scenario like this, and it didn't work out for her then, but boy, that wouldn't be much easier than this double raise here. You know, I mean, you'd have to just skinny by that rock top 12, yellow rock, and get in behind that.
And of course, the thing on this shot is that the person in the house calling the line and the angles, because it isn't just one rock you have to promote, it's two.
Here to go.
And that can make it that much harder.
Yeah, hit this one a hair inside the nose, I think, to an inch inside nose. They're waiting for it to curl. It might be close, though. Here it comes.
No, they're saying never, never, never.
No.
No. So now they will measure to see.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to kick these rocks before somebody checks. Oh, it is yellow. BC's giving it to the yellow,
wow, okay.
So Nova Scotia, congratulations. Great sweeping, ladies.
Yes.
Wow, there it is. What a finish in an extra end.
What a finish.
Thanks very much, Diane. It's been a great afternoon here at Cataraqui. We're back on the air at 6:30. And once again, Travelers Canada, major sponsor, Travelers Canadian Championships. We're back at 6:30 tonight.
Thanks very much from Kingston.